Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Sewing Street with me, Vicki Carroll. We have got so much to do today, so much. And I know that Hannah was telling me yesterday, at one point you were about an hour behind on schedule. Bearing in mind we're only on air for 3 hours. Yeah, Hannah said, thank you for mentioning that on telly and didn't mention that to the management. But yeah, we were a bit behind yesterday, so we've got to make sure we're getting everything in today. First, though, I must say, look, it's Joe's birthday today. Woo, woo, woo. Our director, Joe. We don't see him ever, but he's in his little cupboard to the side of me here in the gallery. And we've put lots of balloons and things, but he runs the show. He's very important. So happy birthday, Joe. We've got some cake. Well, Laura made this cake for him, and we've got all sorts of goodies for later. So happy birthday. We're going to be celebrating all this morning our lovely Joe's birthday. So get all your messages in for him. We've got so much to celebrate today. Not only our amazing Joe's birthday, but also it's National Sewing Machine Weekend. It's National Sewing Machine Day today, and we've got to celebrate some of the most incredible machines, all with seriously good offers. I'm going as far as saying they are the best offers we have ever done since we launched Sewing Street. Best offers we've ever done. A lot of people are already, I know, scouring the web and having a good look through the deals. Have a look. I'm going to talk about it through this first hour, so stay with me. But first, as we always start the show with the early bird, shall we get everybody's baskets open, ready for an exciting show? So, early bird today is Thermalam, and you're going to get 2 packs. 2 packs of your Thermalam for a saving of £3. It doesn't look the most exciting, but what it is like a compressed sort of fleecy wadding. Now, it isn't necessarily a wadding that I would use in a big quilt. It's a polyester wadding. It's not one that I would use in, can I shimmy your cake? Sorry, I think you did that on purpose. You could use it as a wall hanging, you could use it as a cushion front, you could use it in placemats, you can use it in bag making. The reason that this is used as well, I know, is because it has thermal properties. So it isn't the one that's got the metal lines running through, the sheets running through. It is, as I say, like a compressed fleece. And it means basically it absorbs the warmth or cold, in fact, actually. You can make sandwich bags with these, which would be great. But if you are doing something like a pot holder or a placemat or a table runner, they do recommend using a couple of layers. So I folded this in half so you can see how much, if you are folding it in half, how much you're getting. They're big pieces. They're both 1 metre by 90 centimetres, 2 for the price, for a brilliant price. To say that you're saving £3 on this, if you do use it a lot with different projects, as I say, whether it be bag making or cushion fronts or wall hangings, placemats, table runners, it does have that sort of thermal property. If you are thinking of making oven gloves, I would put a good few layers of this in. They recommend 2 on Visaline's website. Have a look. It is an official Visaline's product. Have a look on their website as they give you lots of great guidelines on there. But you do get, remember, I'm opening this out to show you, that's just one. You're getting 2 sheets that are virtually 1 metre square, 1 metre by 90 centimetres. So just at £8.98 as your early bird special. Those of you that are new to us, remember the early bird is extremely limited. It's only while stocks last, or for today and today only, basically. So it is one of those orders that I say, get your baskets open nice and early, add to your order, and then you'll only pay 1 P&P all day long. Yesterday's early bird, we had hundreds of it. It was a big, big one, and we still sold out, completely sold out. So just be aware, it's always going to be one of those products that I think sells very, very quick because of big saving. Always going to be in demand. It can be used for a lot of things, whether you're, as I say, a bag maker, if you make soft furnishings like cushions, if you make wall hangings, if you're doing things like lunch bags or table runners or placemats, this is going to be ideal. Little coasters. And don't throw any away, because you could stitch them together. So if you've got any sort of scraps of it, then you could always sort of put them together and make smaller projects as well with them. Just £8.98. So that's today's early bird special. Remember, you're getting 2 packs for less than £9. Loads and loads of you are checking out your basket already. If you do want to get involved on the website, it's www.sewingstreet.com. You can also speak to our UK-based customer service team on 0800 001 4433. If you can get involved on the web, though, I would suggest, especially whilst our customer service team, of course, are socially distancing, it's definitely worth getting involved on the web if you can. It'll be quicker. Okay, if you do want to get involved and purchase from today's show, trust me, we've got some of the most incredible deals today. Have a look on our website. Be ahead of the game today because we've got so much going on. If you've got any questions for us as well, I'll show you how to get in touch. But if you want to go to the website, it's www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to the Jewelry Maker page. That's the right place at the moment. We're still building our brand new fancy website. It's just taken a little longer because of everything that's going on in the world. But yes, so this is our website. If you scroll down, you'll be able to watch us live if you click play. You'll also, let me talk about this for a second. You'll also be able to sign up for our mailing list where you'll find out lots of the latest news, the latest offers. Our Hayley B, who is our head of marketing, she's fantastic at keeping everybody in the loop. Just before we go through the rest of the website, I just want to show you, as I obviously subscribe to our newsletter. And on here, this is the latest email that came through last night. You may have got it. Talks about National Sewing Machine Weekend. Talks about the history of sewing, the history of sewing machines. So it gives you some nice little information, and then it will talk you through the deals that we've got on the show. So there you can see the Elna embroidery machine, and you can click if you want to have a closer look at any of these items. The Juki, the 550, the 680. The 720. I mean, these are all on today's show, but then coming up the rest of the weekend, it will also give you a bit of an insight of what's to come. So it's definitely worth subscribing to the newsletter by just writing in your email address into that little bar that you saw there and clicking subscribe. We'll talk more about those machine deals in a moment. If we go back to the website, Joe, underneath us, you can then see the early bird special is straight away the first item on your screen, £8.98. A quarter of the stock of that has gone. Be aware, a quarter of the stock has already gone. If you want to start having a look at the goodies, I told you, for National Sewing Machine Day/weekend, we're making it into a whole weekend. It is National Sewing Machine Day today, but what gorgeous, gorgeous machines and what amazing deals you're going to get. All of those goodies come for free with them today. So have a good old look. Have a look at the machines. Keep scrolling down if you want to get ahead of the queue of the Living in Loveliness kits. Brand new kits launching today. We've got some great sewing tools, which are again new today. We've got a brilliant, in fact, that's a brilliant price on the changing tool and on the Fiskus snips, as you see at the bottom right. They're back in stock. So it's definitely worth, as I say, just being a bit eagle-eyed in the morning, having a look what's on there, because once it sort of disappears off the web, it's because it's sold out. If you do want to get in touch with us today, as I say, it's National Sewing Machine Day. We're making it into a weekend event. We want to know or see a picture of your first sewing machine. Who taught you to sew? When was it that you learnt to sew? Any sort of sewing machine stories, please do let us know. It's studio@sewingstreet.com. Come celebrate National Sewing Machine Day with us. Studio@sewingstreet.com is our in-house email address that will go straight through to my producer, Hannah, who's upstairs with us today. There's loads that I've got to tell you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention now. Get in touch with us anyway. Let us know your first sewing machine, or do you collect sewing machines? Debbie collects sewing machines. In fact, John Cole Morgan collects sewing machines, doesn't he? I think he's got like 40-odd machines. Yeah, he says, oh no, don't tell his husband though. But yeah, he does collect his machines. Right, let me move the early bird down here because we've got so much that I want to talk about. We're going to start by going through one of my favourite machines. Now, we're all on different sort of journeys. We're all at different parts of our sewing sort of life. And we all need different machines for different uses. Now, I know so many people that own this machine. The first things first is to think about what brand you're looking at. Yes, you can get machines for under £500, and yes, you can get machines for over £3,000. It's almost like a car, really, isn't it? It's like, okay, what do you need from a machine? What do you want it to do? Do a bit of research, but also my personal sort of, from my experience, I would say go with a brand that you trust, go with a brand that you know. And when you're buying from Sewing Street, we've done our research, we've worked in the industry for years and have built amazing connections with some of the biggest manufacturers in the business. When you're talking about Elna, do you know me? You know that you're looking at a very, very reliable company that have been going for over 80 years now and are absolutely fantastic at what they do. This is, I think, the only machine that we have that is less than £500. It's £479. It is the most affordable machine that we currently offer. Now, I understand, yes, if you want, you can go and buy a machine for less than £100 or less than £200. I don't want you to start with a machine that you're going to just quickly need to upgrade virtually straight away. A machine that isn't going to do the jobs that you want it to do or isn't going to achieve the results that you want to achieve. I found that. I first didn't buy a sewing machine. I borrowed one. I borrowed one off my mum, and it was a really old school one. It was one that wasn't computerized. It was one with the dial on the front with about 5 stitches on. And I very, very quickly had outgrown it. But it was good to do just for me to sort of test the waters and see if it was something that I wanted to do. Whereas what I love about this is it's the next step. So it's a computerized machine. It's still got those features that we love from Elna, that once you pick a stitch, it will automatically default to the correct stitch width and stitch length. It's got the great buttons of it's almost like your speed dial button. So you can use it with or without a foot. You can do your reverse stitch. You can do your locking stitch. It's got a needle up down, so you don't need to hand crank it. It has got the button to do the needle up down. It's got your speed control, which we absolutely love. So this will control whether you want to go, I think actually this one, correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah, it was on the sheet that I gave you. This one does, I think, 700 stitches per minute. It is on the sheet. I did see it last night, but I mean, it can do some speedy sewing. Yeah, 700 stitches per minute is your top sewing speed. But then, of course, you can slow it right down if you want to do some pivoting or more intricate sewing. It still has that Elna build. It's still got a really lovely sewing machine. In fact, I know a lot of people who may have the 680, for example, as their main machine, but then have got a caravan or a second home or a she shed, or, you know, wanting a second machine but still want to know they've got that quality. This is the machine that they have. Today, though, the reason that I would suggest everybody makes the most of the deal is because you get a walking foot with this. You get the walking foot with this offer. Now, this is normally an additional £50. £50 to £60 you can pay for a walking foot. You will get one for free. So if you are a quilter, or if you are going through multiple layers, if you're a bag maker, if you want to test it out, it's something that maybe you would think, oh, do I need to? Am I at that point that I need to invest in that £50, £60? You've got it. Try it out, and you'll actually really see a difference when you are quilting or bag making or working with thicker fabric to help that feed through the system. You have 50 stitches on this. I love how the stitch card is there on the side as well. Really, really convenient for you to be able to see what stitches you need, that quick reference point. And on here, the great thing about Elna is that you know that it's going to stitch very, very well. So even your basic utility stitches, the ones, let's face it, that we all use every single day, you've got them, quick access, and also you can, you know that it is going to do it very, very well. You've got a great selection of your utility stitches, your zigzags. You've also got some buttonholes on here. You've got some decorative stitches. These would be lovely for quilting as well. You've got your satin stitches. You've got those applique stitches. So it still has got, let's face it, when you are working on a sewing machine, how many stitches do you use? How many stitches on a day-to-day basis? If you're finding that, you know, you're only needing the utility stitches, a couple of static stitches and buttonhole, then this is ideal, isn't it? Also, look elsewhere at machines that are under £500. Look for brand names, because you remember, you're getting your guarantee with this machine. You're getting your 2-year warranty with it. You can connect with Elna, with their UK customer service team. You can contact them very, very easily. Have a look at the machines that are available under £500 and see if they come with a walking foot included. This also includes an extension table. Have a look and see if it comes with an extension table. See if it comes with the needle up down. See if it comes with the start stop button. See if it comes with the automatic needle threader. So that really handy tool to be able to thread your needles. See if it comes with, this does just come across, I'm doing this at a funny angle. There you go. So this also does come with extra storage. It comes with that extra storage. Maybe this is your extra machine. Maybe this is your second machine. It's also got this space here, which is great. So if you are doing bag making, you can, of course, use the free arm. It is absolutely brilliant. It's nice and it's quite lightweight, you know. It isn't one that I would say, it's still got weight to it, so it's not going to be bouncing around your table, but it's still got, if you don't have a dedicated sewing room and maybe you sew on a Sunday or you sew when you can once a week, this is going to be something that you can still store it away and it's not going to take up lots and lots of room. It's ideal for that. Or if you do want to take it to a workshop, to a retreat or to a class when we're able to, it's fantastic. Bearing in mind, right, you're getting free goodies, including polyester wadding we're throwing in as well. It's under £500, which I thought was amazing to say you're getting all of these, the walking foot, which is normally £50 to £60. We're not done there. Because it's National Sewing Machine Week, we're going even further with this deal. We're also going to add in polyester wadding. Well, I'm still not done. This is brilliant. Look, sorry, I'm getting this all out of box. I'm trying to make this as glamorous as possible, and Hannah's given me a box, cardboard box. Maybe I should have wrapped it in gold sparkly paper or something. You're getting a fabric marker. Always very, very handy indeed. We're also going to throw in, this is just like, do you remember the generation game? It's like that, isn't it? Right, we've got to remember all of these. Should we do it as a memory game? You're also getting your rainbow panel. This is all for free today. Remember, it's only until, until stocks last or the end of the weekend. It's only till the end of the weekend, but until stocks last is probably more realistic. Okay, you're also going to get your Colour Me In panel, which these are both exclusive to us. Oops, let me put it this way. This is just brilliant to get you started, isn't it? You could make a bag, you could do all sorts. You don't need to necessarily colour it in, do you? You could use it to make pin cushions, the smaller one, maybe a little needle book, or start a project, couldn't you? Test your stitches on the rainbow. So you're going to get that included as well, and some fat quarters. I tell you what, there's just not enough space on the desk to show you all of these bundles. And your fat quarters included as well. You've got loads of goodies worth over £89 for less than £500 today. So just to make it very, very clear, you get obviously your machine, which comes with all of the standard feet and accessories anyway. Hannah, I think they were being quite conservative saying the walking foot's £49 actually, because I've seen them for £60 elsewhere. So Hannah said that she had the equivalent to this machine but an older model. She updated from a non-computerised machine. Always learnt to sew on her mum's machine, which is a non-computerised machine. She wanted a good machine that was going to be in the house for her. She doesn't sew all the time. She said, I know, I'm here with lots of sewing, but she says, I do a lot of hand sewing at home, but I want a machine. I've always grown up with a machine in the house. She said, I wanted lightweight, something that I could store easily. Something that was a good price point. Something, you know, that's going to last. Grown up with a machine, you want it then to last until maybe your children start sewing. It's something that you keep, do little cushions, things, something that's always going to be reliable. Hannah said she got the model before this, basically, the equivalent. She said, I did not have a walking foot. She said, I've had to borrow them from work. She says, luckily I can do that. But when I looked, it was £60, £70 for the walking foot for hers. There you go. I mean, this comes with an extension table. It comes with the walking foot. She said, I don't have an extension foot, I don't have a walking foot, and I don't have a start-stop button. So if you don't want to, you don't need to plug in your foot. You can, if by all means, you can plug in your foot pedal, but you don't need to because you've got that start-stop button. It's brilliant, isn't it? Without the bundle, Hannah said, I think I paid £5.50 for mine. See, this is what's incredible, isn't it? It's the only machine that we have under £500. It's £479, and Hannah didn't get all that bundle. And in fact, you've got mates rates, staff discount, and yours is still £5.50. When I say that this is the best offer the biggest offers that we've ever done on Sewing Street. So if you are at that point where you're either been watching during lockdown, you've only just found us, or you've started sewing over the last few months, and maybe it is a machine that you've dusted off out the loft and it's one that's been passed down through family, keep them, absolutely keep them, because they become quite sort of ornamental, don't they? But sometimes they can start to sound like a construction engine or a tractor, can't they? And they start to sort of hop around the desk. Whereas if you know you still want that reliable machine, you've got that with the Elna brand. It comes with a 2-year warranty. They have an incredible customer service team that are based in the UK that you can always get hold of them. It gives you all of your numbers, obviously, as you can quickly and easily thread this as you normally would. It's got the little handle on the top there so you can put this away, pack it away really nicely and easily. It comes with an extension table. There is so much with this machine for less than £500 today that if you are on the sort of edge of thinking about it, if you're umming and ahhing, this weekend is the weekend to do it. Absolutely. If you've got any questions about any of these machines, that will be going through this hour, because obviously it's a bit of a pit stop in these machines. We're doing a bit of a fast track through the machines. There will have been full demonstrations on our website, on our YouTube channel. If you go onto YouTube, there's loads of info. But if there's something in particular that you want to know, then definitely message in and we can try and find out if we don't already know for you. I think this is the machine that Debbie's used quite regularly, actually. I think this is a machine that you've probably seen Debbie using quite a lot. So do message in if there's anything that you would like to know. £479 with a walking foot. That is for me the absolute sort of golden ticket. That's enough for me. That is enough for me. Please have a look elsewhere. I'm urging you to. It's a lot of money you're spending, so I want you to have a look. Remember, the full machine with all of the standard accessories that you get anyway, which you get loads, plus remember you're getting your hemline marking pen, you're getting marky pen, you're getting your crib size wadding, you're getting your rainbow stripe fat quarters. You're also getting your natural fat quarters and your Colour Me In rainbow. There is so much that you're getting, and today it's a saving worth over £89. And I honestly think that we are being quite conservative there. It is a fantastic machine. Oops, sorry. Fantastic machine. And yeah, if you've got any questions about it, please, please, please do let us know. Right, we're just shimmying over to bring you the next machine. The next machine we're going to be talking about is the Juki. It's the only Juki that we've got available in the offers today. There's an overlocker that's in an offer tomorrow. In fact, I think it might be available on the website later today. So just putting it out there, the overlocker might be available later. But this is our only Juki sewing machine that's on offer. It's the only other sewing machine brand that we currently work with. So we work with Elna, Gnome and Juki. Now, the great thing about Sewing Street is that I know that we are new as a show. We've only been going since February, but behind the scenes, the team that are working here have got years and years and years of experience that have created relationships with lots of different brands and very, very reliable brands. Juki, those of you that know sewing machines and know the industry, if you go to any of the shows, you will know Juki. You'll probably know Gary, in fact. I think we all love Gary, don't we? Oh, he's brilliant. Hannah seems to know a lot about Gary. She says he also does scuba diving. Fun fact for you. Just if you see Gary, you know, when we're able to go to the shows, this is nothing to do with today's show, but Gary's into scuba diving as well. The reason that I think everybody loves and knows Juki is because we associate it with more of an industrial sort of background. Juki started out that they were industrial sewing machines. This isn't an industrial machine, even though, my word, it is big. It's big. It's almost taken on lots of the industrial sort of elements, the build, the name, the brand, the quality, but it's in a domestic machine. So those of you that, oh my word, now this, of course, look at the price. It is on the sort of higher end of the scale when you're talking about absolute quality machines. It is absolutely incredible. For one, the first thing that I notice is this absolutely huge bed space. Those of you that are quilters, dressmakers, if you do a lot of sewing, if you're a soft furnisher, if you sew for a living, and if it's your profession, this is the machine that does the job so well. It's the best offer we have ever done on this. The best offer we've ever done. Now, when we launched it, it came with a bundle that was worth £200, which is still a huge bundle. This is with a bundle today that is worth over £350. So, the features and functions of this machine, I'm going to go through really quickly because there are so many. As I say, it isn't a machine, and I know that Gary will say this isn't a machine that is all singing, dancing, jazz hands, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. What it does do is do your sewing perfectly. The reason I talk about Gary so much is because he's come on air, he's not a normal sewing machine salesperson, and those of you that have met him or have seen him on air before, you know exactly what I mean. You can watch him back if you haven't already seen him. He was on the 11th of March. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it, about 11th of March, Sewing Street, and you'll be able to watch him talking about this machine. And I recommend you do if you're thinking about buying this, because he's so passionate about it, but in a different way to you and I. He's not a salesman. He is so passionate about this machine, and it's because he comes from actually an engineering background. So when I talk about the sort of industrial side of Juki, he gets so excited about the actual works within the machine and the quality of that machine. He wouldn't work with a brand that didn't represent that quality of the build and the engineering side of it and the science. The little features that Juki have almost transferred from their industrial sort of qualities and industrial side of it that other machines don't. I think one of the best features of the machine, it comes with a massive extension table. It comes with a really big, we ran out of space today, but it comes with a massive extension table. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on its side so you can see. This, by the way, is a little a buttonhole attachment. It's amazing. Everything is so fancy on this. Can you see there is this little foot here? So this, I don't know if I'm using the wrong, I'm doing this from a funny angle, but this is your dual feed system, and it's a built-in dual feed system. So you've probably heard us talking about the walking foot. This has got a built-in walking foot. It's the only machine that I've seen that has this built-in walking foot, and it works with quite a lot of the feet as standards, but straight away when you pull that down, it turns any of your feet that you have here virtually into that walking foot, that dual feed built-in system, which is so quick and easy to use. It's absolutely brilliant. And when you see Gary demonstrating this, if you're a bag maker, using your thick, robust fabrics that you might maybe struggle with, that you actually can use it. I think like the zipper foot, for example, you can foot the dual feet. There's so many different feet that you're going to be able to use with this, and it will make a massive difference. It's obviously got the free arm, as you can see there, but it does also come with a huge extension table. Those of you that are quilting, it is a weighty machine. I think this is for somebody that might have a dedicated sewing space. This stays out all the time, that's sewing most days, and you just want to know that it's going to do your utility stitches absolutely perfectly. It comes with that high performance foot. It comes with all of your incredible different stitches. Yes, still got a lot of your decorative stitches, don't get me wrong, but it focuses more on your absolute solid sewing. You're going to be able to sew virtually any fabric with this, no drama, no trouble. It's not going to be eating up any of your fabric. It just sews like a dream. It also has a digital tension system. So when I've seen Gary using this, he doesn't need to alter the tension between working with a tulle, working with silks, working with leather, working with cotton. No matter what he's putting through this, it has a very clever computer in here that works all that out for you, works out the tension for you. The touchscreen is amazing, very responsive, but also don't be put off by the fact that I'm talking about very sort of technical computerized things, because it's also incredibly user-friendly. Watch the show back, because Gary goes through in great depth and great details all of the incredible features and functions. Today though, because we've got all of these machines to talk about in only 1 hour, As I say, this is a bit of a fast track through, so I know it's a lot of money just to spend without seeing it, so please, please, please do watch back the show. This is one of those, you know, your dream car, your dream house, your dream husband, your dream everything. This is the dream sewing machine. I know how many people have said that this is on their dream list. So if that makes it possible today, then I'm going to talk you through the extra goodies that you're getting. You're going to be a bit naughty, Hannah. Oh, okay, we are going to be a bit naughty. Have a look at Juki UK website. Have a look at Juki UK website. The machine is obviously $2,795 because that's the price. That's our price. That's their price. That is the price. We are also offering goodies worth £350. Just putting it out there. Just put it out there. See if they are. They're not. They're not. Gary will be absolutely going, what on earth? Sorry, Gary. Sorry, Gary. But he'll be over the moon that everybody's getting on board on the Juki train because it's so excited. It is so exciting. There was something else that I wanted to mention before I talk about the goodies. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention, yes, it's got all of these incredible, you know, the quick and easy speed dial, if you will, buttons. But also what I love about this is that with your foot pedal, you can program it to cut your thread, to do all sorts. You can put a knee lift that has got like, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, if you're using your knee lift, can go up, it can go up further. You can, depending how far you want, if you're doing something that's a really a really thick quilt, it's got a really big lift there, but also you can program it on your knee lift to go sort of to full height or half height, or it's just so there's so many gadgets on this machine without being novelty. They're not gimmicky gadgets. I know that Gary is so passionate about the sort of no, Gary wouldn't work with gimmicky gadgets. We're speaking for Gary now, but he loves this machine. He's an engineer. He's an engineer, and it is one of the most solid, incredible Juki machines. This is the machine that Hannah says whenever she sees Gary talking about it, she's just like, I don't care, I want it. I know that it's a lot of money, but I've got to have that machine. It's not a case of I want it, so I need it. So yeah, you can go to the Juki UK website. You can see the price point is $2,795. We've got extra goodies today. Same price. Also seen other places and it's still that price point. Google the sewing machine. Google the sewing machine. Have a look on a search engine and you can't find it. This is obviously a limited window of time that you can get this bundle, but we can't find anywhere else that is offering this. So, are you ready? Shall we go through what it is you're getting? Because this is a big bundle. Are you ready? Because this is like the generation gap. You can see the list of things that I'm going to pull out of my my cardboard box here. So, the machine with all of the amazing standards as normal. You're also going to get wadding. You're going to get an alphabet panel. You're going to get the rainbow panel as before. You're going to get the other rainbow panel, the Colour Me In rainbow panel. All of this fabric to get started with. You're also going to get your fat quarters. Even if you're not going to use them, they're gifts that are covered. You're also going to get your 5 millwood ruler rack, which is lovely quality. That's very useful. We're also going to put a ruler in there for your ruler rack, a creative grid ruler. And I tell you what, it's one of those most useful sizes as well. You're going to get that for free. I'm still nowhere near done, by the way. You're going to get 2 rotary cutters, not 1, but 2. We've got one at 28. No, it's good for my morning exercise. The 45mm blade and also the 28mm blade. I'm still going up and down. I've got the fabric marker, pins, and oh, we didn't stop there. What about some designer fabric to get sewing with? Some designer fabric, some Tilda fat quarters as well. All of these goodies. Do you know sometimes when you think, oh, of goodies, like freebies, they're always things that you go, oh, well, they're, you know, like maybe you get, well, Hannah's using the example, I'll get a makeup pack and you get a free green lip gloss. I'm never going to wear that. I'm so pleased that I got that for free. Whereas actually, everything here is extremely useful, and you know the value of Tilda, you know the value of Creative Grid, of Millwood, of your wadding, and all things, they're brands that you know: Clover, Hemline, Creative Grids, Millwood, one of our best-selling panels, the Rainbow panel, the Colour Me In panel, the Back Quarters. You've got everything. It is, of course, a considered purchase, but if you're on that part of your journey where you were absolutely, you know, whether to go for it or not, I think this weekend is the weekend to go for it. If you can afford to do it, my word, you're getting so many extras today, so many goodies. Can you remember them all on the Generation Game now? Has everybody memorised them? Back quarters, let's see the list again. So, your back quarters, your fabric panels, your Millwood ruler rack, you're getting your wadding, you're getting your marking tools, your rotary cutters, your Creative Grids. There is so much that you're getting with the machine. Again, as I understand, it is a more considered machine. It is a very considered machine. Please will you message in and let me know if there's anything in particular that you would like to know about it. If there's any of the features and functions. For anybody who's asking about the split payment option, I'm afraid it is something that we are looking into, but at the moment it isn't something that we're able to offer. But yeah, it is something that obviously we're still very new in the grand scheme of things, but it's still less than 6 months old. Oh, what a deal! It's the best sewing machine offer we have ever done. £350 worth of goodies, absolutely brilliant. Now, should we jump back to Elna? Elna, Janome, they're under the same umbrella, completely different to the others. This is our only embroidery machine. Now, this isn't a combo machine. This is solely an embroidery machine. If you want to be able to sew, the thing is, this is what I find great. If you want to be able to get on with your sewing, and you want to be doing embroidering, if you've got a combination machine, you have to wait for your embroidery to be done. You have to then get on with your sewing and then do your embroidery, and it will take longer time. If you are doing, maybe you're setting up your very own business. This isn't a sewing machine, this is an embroidery machine. There's a friend of mine who is not a sewer. She's not a sewer, and she's bought this machine just to do monogramming for businesses, personalising for friends' weddings. She started her own business of just doing embroidery, and she doesn't sew. I mean, how incredible to be able to say, right, for anybody who wants to monogram and create their own stitches, then there's loads of patterns already on this machine, which we'll show you in a second. This is your 820X. It's your Elna embroidery machine. It was launched on the 24th of May. If you do want to watch it back, then you absolutely can. Watch it back on YouTube. There are incredible features and functions of this machine. It does have a USB on the side, so you're going to be able to plug in and load your own stitches on there if you'd like. You can create your own, but also it does come with 100 of its very own stitches. You also get your 2-year warranty, which comes through Elna. The machine, just so you know, if you're purchasing anything from today's show and your machine, it does come separately, but they are still shipping at the moment, so you will be able to get it, and it comes with a 2-year Elna warranty. You get all of your hoops with it. You've got I love some of those flower motifs. You've got lots of different borders. You've got lovely wildlife images. They look beautiful in these colours, but remember, you can choose what thread you use. You get a standard hoop and you get a large hoop. If you'd like to know the sizes of it, we'll show you how you can email. What we're going to do is we'll go through this, and then I'll let you know how you get in touch with us if you have got any questions about any of the machines. You can use the USB port to download designs, of course, or there is a PC design card option as well. So have a look on the show back. There's 3 alphabets. There's 3 different styles of alphabets on there. And yeah, if you've got any questions, message it in. It also gives you the remaining embroidery time, so it will count down to show you how long is left. It's very, very easy to use. It is one of those machines that if you want to be doing, as I'm thinking like uniforms, work uniforms, or caps, or bags, or personalising anything for weddings, or hen dos, hen parties, birthdays. This is going to be something that you can pick out a logo or do somebody's name, set go, it will memorise your stitch pattern, and it will tell you when you need to change the colours, it will prompt you, it will stop. So it is extremely clever. Of course it's Elna, and it's solely embroidery. All of your images you can rotate round or mirror image. You can do, you can resize them. So depending on if you want to do larger text or larger pictures, there is, I think, about 20% difference that you can go up or down either way. So there's lots of amazing features and functions on it. You can flip them and mirror image them. You've got more options even when you're in the machine with your design. So once you've made your own design, maybe you're making like, you know, like tablecloths, doilies, or for vases to go on top of. They'd be beautiful, wouldn't they? And you could do incredible embroidery work on them. Or towels even. I know that we saw the demonstration with towels. That's a great idea. So the goodies today though. The goodies, this is what it's all about. The freebies, the goodies. It's all about the saving that you're getting on this one. This is a £350 saving. So that money could go towards maybe more stabilisers and fabrics, more threads. It can go towards buying T-shirts to embroider on or bags to embroider on. If you want to download certain software or different things like that, that can go towards it. You've got £350 towards expanding your business or your embroidery journey. £549. Remember, this comes as well with that 2-year warranty from Elna. What I like about this one is we've kind of left it a bit more open. We know people who are doing, you know, Juki machine, we kind of know what goodies you might like with it. But with embroidery, we thought, right, leave it up to you. You could already have a collection of threads. You might be wanting to buy loads of plain T-shirts, or, you know, if you're a local netball team, you might have specific colours or specific T-shirts that you want to wear. Or if you want to buy, as I said, the different stabilisers, maybe you only do towels, you only need a certain stabiliser. So we've left it open for you this time. A £350 saving. That's a great big chunk to go and have a play with. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to need to spend it all on embroidery things, but it would be nice. It would be nice, wouldn't it? £549. Right, let me show you the email address, because you've got any questions about this machine, about any of the machines, studio@sewingstreet.com. studio@sewingstreet.com is the email address. If you've got any questions about what size hoops you get with it, message in. If you want to ask any questions about any of the machines. The Elna comes, remember, with 2-year warranty. If you want to know anything more about Juki, any questions, because I know, as I say, this is a bit of a pit stop. So if you do want to know any of the dates of when they were on air, anything like that, then let me know. Okay. So we've now got John Cole Morgan's brand new machine. He loves this. As I know, do you know what? So many of our guest designers or people who I know who work in the industry use this machine, work on this machine. John Cole Morgan is a quilter, and that's the reason that he picked this machine. It's got a huge array. It's got this stitch card which slots in the back. Oh, see, one of my good friends who is a bag maker as well, she loves this machine. Bag makers, quilters, this is fantastic. Dressmakers even, actually, as well. I'm not ruling you out at all. It is a flatbed machine, just so you know, if you are a dressmaker, you don't have the choice of having the free arm, which I know doesn't bother a lot of people, but just so you're aware. That's why I am sort of steering more towards bag makers or quilters. It's amazing. A lot of small business owners I know have this machine. It's a very, very sturdy workhorse. It's got like this metal bed, which is just gorgeous. It's an aluminium frame throughout the whole of the machine. You've got this really it feels quite industrial again, doesn't it? It feels absolutely inspired by an industrial machine. it's got that really, really lovely workspace. And I know that that was one of the reasons that John Cole Morgan loved this, was because this really great sized bed space. It is again from Elna. There are so many benefits of buying an Elna machine. We can show you some of the features and functions of the 720, and then I'll show you the goodies. I'll show you the goodies. We've got all weekend. This weekend, we're celebrating National Sewing Machine Day. We're turning it into a weekend. So, I'm just going to have to come around to read this. Bear with me. So, you've got, obviously, your variable speed control. You've got your needle up, down, stop with your memory button function as well, which is fantastic. So, you can do your sort of stitch sequence that it always ends with the needle down. You've also got your stop, you've got your pressure foot, pressure adjustment, your superior needle threader with lever on the side, you've got your stop button, you've got your drop-in bobbin, you've got that big workspace, your needle plate conversion lever. Oh, that's exciting. Your thread cutter switch jack, you've also got your rotary dials for thread tension, stitch width and length setting. You've got your spool stand with rotating thread guide, all of those great features and functions of this machine. This has got an independent bobbin winder, so those of you that, I'm thinking, if you do want to be sewing and winding a bobbin at the same time, how much time is that going to save? How much time is that going to save? We've also got lots of different accessories that come as standard with this machine. Come as standard, you get your normal 8 foot, your standard foot, your rolled hem foot, your zipper foot, your satin stitch foot, your open toe satin stitch foot, your blind hem foot, your overlock foot, your 1/4 of an inch seam foot, your darning foot, your convertible free motion quilting foot, with 3 different heads as well. So you've probably got your open toe and your clear toe as well on there. Your automatic buttonhole foot with stabilizing plate, your button sewing foot, your upper feed foot holder, your professional high performance 1/4 of an inch seam foot. I know that this is a reason again that John Cole Morgan liked this one, was because of the high performance feet that come with it. The professional grade high performance stitch plate. So if you're just doing straight stitching, it comes with that straight stitch needle plate. It kind of reduces, you know, the chewing up that seems to happen, and it saves you time. Your quilting guide bar, your button shank plate, your bobbin, seam ripper, needle set, lint brush, which I know that John Cole Morgan is saying, really important, you clean your machine, keep it nice and clean. You can watch his Instagram, he does a little bit about cleaning your machine. It also comes with a knee lifter, an extension table, a large foot controller, a soft cover, and an instructional DVD. Now that is as standard. That's as standard. We've added. So for this price, this is the price of the machine. This will always be the price of the machine. Today, it is with £120 worth of goodies. Let's go for it. Fat quarters, your natural fat quarters, love them. Your rainbow panel, got them, there you go. We've also got your Millwood ruler rack. Very handy, beautiful, sturdy wooden ruler rack. Again, very, very useful size on your Creative Grid ruler. Brand name as well. Remember, this isn't just any old freebies. These are quality names and brands. Your hemline marking tool, whether you're a dressmaker, bag maker, whatever you do, they are absolutely useful. Your rainbow panel. Your alphabet panel. Sorry, I haven't got them out of the bags. Also, your Tilda fat quarters from the Bon Voyage range, and your 5-piece fat quarter pack. And you're also getting your wadding. Go on, Joe. Your wadding. All of that. All of that for over £120. How incredible is that? You are getting a lot for your money. £1,399. So those of you that were, maybe you've watched some of John's shows, because he's been talking about this, and I know that he said it was a purchase. He's got a lot of machines, and this was the one that he said, right, I've got to have it, I've got to have it, I've got to have it. So I had it for his birthday. But if you are at that point that you were listening to John and you've heard Debbie talking about it as well, because it does some beautiful decorative stitching, which Debbie's shown, if you are at that point of umming and ahhing about it, then this weekend is the weekend to do it. If you go onto our website, www.sewingstreet.com, don't forget it says Jewel Maker. Scroll down past the Watch Live point, scroll down and subscribe to our newsletter, and underneath us there, we never click Watch Live because you have to hear me talk twice. At home, yeah, absolutely, you can watch live during that point pressing there. No, don't do it. So under there, you can see all of your bits and bobs, everything that you're going to need. Just so you know, the early bird, the thermolamp, there's only 25 of those remaining. Only 25 of those now remaining. If you do want to make the most of the early bird special, that I think will sell out. You're getting 2 packs for less than £9. And then you can see across the 680, which we're going to be doing next. I absolutely love the machine. If I were to choose one today, do you know what? The thing is, all of the deals are so good today. Normally, I would always favour this machine. But I know I don't have much time on them. I'm asking people who maybe have got a type of machine in mind. Is there a specific machine that you've dreamed of getting? Is there one that you've been thinking about it? For example, the Juki. Do look elsewhere, because the Juki is the same price point as elsewhere, but you've got so many extras with that today. Also, I'm really excited for anybody that might have just been borrowing somebody's machine for years and now making that first step and getting the 550, because I would never really call that an entry-level machine. It's a sturdy, great machine, especially with that walking foot. Also, I'm equally excited because I know my friend's got this machine and she doesn't sew at all and she wants to start her own business doing embroidery. So that's brilliant. The 720, I'm as excited after I watched how excited John Cole Morgan was when he got that machine. So I want everybody else to have the excitement that he has. This machine, though, is the one that you hear me talking about a lot, and I am very tempted, very, very tempted with this offer today. Okay, I am extremely tempted by this because I'm getting goodies. This is my birthday machine. This is the machine that you will see. No, they didn't let me keep it for my birthday. Just gonna keep pushing this. I really want this machine. Oh, I've got half meters of fabric. Yeah, I did get my frosty. I loved my frosty fabric, but this is my dream list. I love this machine. The reason that I love it is because it is everything that I want from a machine. It literally has all of the stitches, it's got decorative stitches, it's really easy to use, it's so user-friendly, it's got extra space. I can put it away and bring it out if I need to. I don't have a dedicated sewing room, but it's still really going to do the job. This will be a machine that I would have forever. I absolutely love it. You get an extension toe, you get a walking foot, you have all of your key features. You've got your thread cutter, which I love, your needle up down, all of those key features. Also, if you work in lots of different sort of skills and genres, that's why I love this, because I wouldn't say I was a quilter or a dressmaker or something. I like to dabble between it all. I see so much here. I see somebody come in and do a toy making demo. I want to try toy making. I see somebody doing bag making. I think I can do that. Dressmaking. I want to try a bit of everything. And it is brilliant for somebody who is an all-round sewer. It's got that extra space if you're a quilter. It's got the free arm if you're a bag maker or a dressmaker. It's got an alphabet on here if you want to personalise, if you love doing monogramming. It's got that option. If you are not very technical. I'm not very technical. I get scared by pressing the wrong buttons. And I said this about, Hannah was talking about the Juki machine. And as I've seen Gary talk through it, and he makes it very, very simple, but it still scares me because it's, that level machine. It's the dream for Hannah. This machine, I can very comfortably plug this in and get sewing really quickly. I can just set it up as I want. It's got a memory function. You can do a memory function to be able to do your thread cutter at the end of each sequence. It's got a very, very clear instruction manual, and there's somebody on the end of the phone at Elna that is going to help me with this. But it is something that you can just get sewing really quickly. It comes with an extension table. It comes with a walking foot. It comes with loads of great standard accessories. Plus today, do you want to see our goodies? We're going to, do you know what? I'm so tempted by this because you get wadding. I love all the storage in this as well. It's got like a little wardrobe look. A little wardrobe for your feet in the front and at the top there. It comes also with your ruler rack. It comes with, oh, you get a creative grid as well. It comes with a creative grid. This is only for this weekend, these goodies, by the way, or until stocks last. Hannah says, I've got to say that because I can see them being checked out, and also I can see how many we've been able to bundle. It isn't infinite. Might be able to move some stock around, hopefully, if it gets desperate, but Hannah said there's only a certain amount that we can do all these giveaways with. You also get your fabric marker, you get fat quarters, you're going to get your rainbow panel, you're going to get your colour me in panel. That swayed my decision. I'm doing it. You know me with my colouring in panel. So, all of those goodies worth over £90 for £1,099. It's always been that price. We love that price. It's a brilliant machine. But all of those goodies, if you were thinking about it, for over £90 of goodies. Over £90 of goodies. There are so many incredible features and functions. Well done to everybody who is already, before 9 o'clock in the morning, have made their order. How exciting. The thing is, maybe you didn't expect this show today and you were thinking, right, it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning yet and I didn't expect to see all these savings, and you might need to spend a bit of time having a bit of a look through and doing a bit of having a bit of research. Fair enough. But if, well, I'm saying that because I know they are all considered purchases. We want you to go and have a look elsewhere. But if you turned on the telly today, turned on the iPad, or saw your newsletter last night and thought, that is the machine that I was going to buy, I've been literally saying, do you know what, I'm going to do it. It's my day. Today's the day. How exciting. Which I know already, seeing by the phone lines, there's already people checking out. I'm so excited for you. Your goodies, by the way, will come from us, and the machines will come from the manufacturer. So they're going to be sending out. You do not pay any extra postage. So even if you bought the early bird and you've got your free goodies, they'll all come together. Don't worry when you get your goodies and you're like, where's my machine? It will come separately from your manufacturer, but they're all shipping it out as far as we're aware, so they'll be sending it to you. Okay. I honestly could talk about this for the whole hour. There's so many great features and functions of the 680, 170 stitches, 10 buttonholes, built-in needle threader, sewing machine with an extra large space. You've also got your 1,000 stitches a minute, your free arm, adjustable, automatic programmable thread cutter. That's so easy for me to say, isn't it? Your presser foot pressure adjuster. There's so many incredible features and functions of the 680. It comes with a huge array of feet as standard, plus all your goodies today. I hope it sways your decision. So excited. Right, just very quickly, I want to mention this because, as I say, I know that we've got a lot of new people who have been joining us since lockdown, a lot of people who have been sewing during lockdown, which is brilliant. Maybe you've been sewing your whole life. Maybe you haven't sewn since school. Maybe there's somebody young in your family who is just getting into sewing. And I mean, this is a really special sewing machine that will be with you. We'll keep with you. Maybe you've got a special birthday, or somebody who's going off to uni to study textiles and needs their own sewing machine. The great thing about this is that for under £500, it's a great lightweight machine, so you can pack it away and store it away safely, but it isn't going to be one that you grow out of very quickly because it's the Elna brand, because it's got all of the features and functions that we expect from Elna, but also today you're going to get it with a free walking foot. How good is that? You're getting a free walking foot, which normally is about £50 to £60. So you're getting a walking foot, You're also getting a huge array of extra goodies, totaling a worth over £89. £479, it's the only machine that we've got today under £500. The extra goodies that you get with this are as follows. A walking foot, a hemline marking fabric marker pen. You're also getting your wadding, you're getting a rainbow stripe fabric panel, you're getting your fat quarters and your Calamian panel, all totaling a worth of £89. And I said, I think that's quite conservative, saying £50 actually for the walking foot. I know you can pay more. It's got the free arm. If you're doing bag making or dressmaking, it's a really lovely machine that I know a lot of people who have got already machines over £1,000 have this still as their second machine because it's still that build, that reliability from Elna. 50 stitches, great utility stitches, plus some buttonholes on there, satin stitches, applique stitches, with your quick access buttons and your speed control for £479. That was a pit stop of all of these machines. We did it. If there is anything that you would like to know, any details about, because as I say, I understand they're all considered purchases, please, please, please do not hesitate to message in. Any question, there's no question that's silly. Please message in. If I can answer them, I absolutely will. If I can't, we will look into it and find out and get back to you. So please do ask away any questions that you have. studio@sewingstreet.com is the email address. Have a serious think about them. Do not go anywhere. Check out your baskets as soon as you can. Be back with us because we've got a great demo from lovely Kerrie. Living in Loveliness is back with a messenger bag coming up right after this.
Hello and welcome. We love hearing from you and we really hope that you can follow us on our social media platforms. We've got Instagram, which is @SewingStreet. We have Facebook. We've got 2 Facebook pages. One is the Sewing Street TV page and the other one is Sewing Street Fans. All 3 of these are monitored all the time by our wonderful team, and if you want to message us on air, drop us a line on either of those 3 and we'll definitely be able to answer your questions that you may have. If you post on the actual wall, we can perhaps answer there. Otherwise, message us as well. That works really, really well. Thank you so much for being involved, and it's only because of this community that we're able to bring you all these different diverse products and to be able to answer your questions that you may have. Another way you can stay in touch with us is by signing up to our newsletter. These newsletters are sent out to you very regularly and they include not only our guest profiles of upcoming guests, but also amazing shows that we've got coming up for you. And if you want to look at the amazing products before everybody else, that's the best way to do it. If you'd like to sign up and you haven't already, the link to follow is www.sewingstreet.com/sign up. You won't regret it. Thank you.
If you love sewing, then you need the UK's favourite sewing magazine. Every month, you'll receive exclusive patterns. Follow simple step-by-step guides suitable for all skill levels to make your own stunning clothes, accessories and more, together with inspiring tips and tricks from industry experts. Join in and discover your love for sewing. Try Love Sewing today and get your first 3 issues for just £6.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw from Sewing Street and these are my 5 top tips for successful sewing. So number 1, always use a good quality thread. A good quality thread will keep your seams stronger and also help to prevent lint building up inside your sewing machine. Tip number 2, if your project isn't going quite according to plan, put it down, walk away from it, come back again the next day and you'll probably find that things don't seem half as bad as they did. My tip number 3, never throw away your sewing machine manual, always keep it to hand because you're going to find hints and tips, techniques and troubleshooting in that manual. You'll miss it if you lose it. My tip number 4 is to read your pattern instructions before you even cut out your fabric. Different manufacturers of patterns will give you different instructions, different ways of constructing your garments and different seam allowances. So to have a successful garment, you need to follow the instructions precisely. And then tip number 5 is don't give up. Every professional sewer sewed their first seam. Every professional quilter quilted their first quilt. Every professional quilter sewed their first line of wonky stitches and had to get out the quick and pick. That's no different to you. So I hope you find these useful. If you want more hints and tips, then why not go to Sewing Street on channel 74 on Freeview, on Sky 670, and of course we have a YouTube channel where you can catch up on previous demonstrations. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, National Sewing Machine Day. It's very exciting, all the goodies, and it's lovely to see lots of people taking advantage of the offers. Congratulations. A lot of messages coming in saying, thank you so much, offers I've been waiting for. Oh, I'm very excited for you. How brilliant. I mean, what day is it today? Saturday. What an exciting Saturday morning before 9 o'clock. You'll be just so excited all weekend. It's brilliant. Okay. Oh yeah, of course, it's Saturday the 13th of June. It's the Queen's birthday. Full stop. And it's Joe's, and it's Aunt Joe's. It's our director Joe's birthday today. And he's chosen to spend it with us from a social distance, but it's lovely, still lovely to, yeah, we're gonna have some cake in a bit. Right, this hour, are you ready for some more loveliness? Yes, always ready for our lovely Kerrie. Honestly, she has become already such an amazing part of the family. I can't wait to be meeting her properly. When we're allowed to be in the studio together, it's just going to be so lovely, Kerrie. Because we love your projects so much. We've got 3 different bags. Now, I haven't got the wool one because I know that was quite a late sort of choice for Kerrie, but and put together an amazing bundle of the wool. There were so many people who have loved her wool pieces, so she really wanted to sort of fast track it through and bought us these specifically for us, but she was waiting for the wool orders to come in, so we've managed to kit it. We've managed to get the bundle in. They are beautiful, aren't they? These are your messenger bags. Liberty and Riley Blake, and they also, what were you going to say, sorry? Oh, I know, we got a bit excited this morning. They will actually they'll come really beautifully presented, wrapped beautifully. We ripped them open. Well, I say rip them open. We still were careful, but I haven't been able to put it together as nice as Kerrie. I don't think I'm going to get a job at Living with Loveliness because I'm not very good at the wrapping. Oh, did she? She posted a video of how she packages them on social media. So just have a look. Our Kerrie from Living in Loveliness. We've got 3 different kits. Which one should we start with? You're following me, right? I'm just going for it. So it comes, by the way, I must say, with a lovely little sticker that says, packed with loveliness, lots of love, Kerrie. So if you're gifting this for somebody who loves bag making, oh, it's done. Don't need to worry about wrapping. It's very exciting to open. We learnt that earlier on. But you know when you go to a really fancy shop and they wrap a gift all nice in tissue, or they wrap clothes in tissue, yeah, like Rowan Atkinson in Love Actually, and he's doing it. It just adds that extra special something, doesn't it? But I find that you almost will sew differently when it's beautifully presented like this. So inside here, you get everything that you need to make the gorgeous, gorgeous messenger bag. So you've got your instructions, all of your patterns, all of your instructions have got full photographs as well, step-by-step photographs and lovely tips along the way. Your cutting guide and all of your pattern pieces come as in your packet. But remember, you also will have, of course, the YouTube video that you can go to and sew along with for free afterwards. When you get your kit home, you can of course sew along with the demo that we're going to show in a minute. You also get your magnetic clasps. You get the most amazing Liberty. Now, every single time we do a Liberty option with Living with Loveliness, it's always the fastest selling. It's always the one that sells out first. Be aware that this is stunning. The quality of these Liberty fabrics. So you're getting both of these quilting weight fabrics, plus you're then getting, can you see the pattern on this? You can't, can you? That's attention to detail, isn't it, from her? She could have just put a plain white, but actually you've got this really beautiful print on there. And that is for your lining. So don't get me wrong, I mean, you don't necessarily need to, that's attention to detail. She could have gone completely plain, but it just adds that extra bit of loveliness. You can see the passion that she puts into all of her work and projects. The quality of the fabrics is always there. And then your lovely soft wadding as well, all included, and that's what gives it great body. All of this, £49.99. Bearing in mind how much it will cost you for a Liberty bag. how much it costs to buy a bag as beautiful as this in Liberty. That is gorgeous, isn't it? So that's your Liberty option. We also have, remember, it comes with your pattern, it comes with your magnetic clasp, everything that you need. Yes, I will nicely fold this away. And I'm going to go for the next one. Your Riley Blake. Oh, how gorgeous. Once again, let's indulge in the brilliant instructions. I love this because they're all really, really well thought out, photographed at each step. Lots of great hints and tips as you go along. All of your cutting templates. Of course, you then also have your pattern pieces. Everything's all included in there. You also have your wadding. You've got those instruction patterns. You've got your instruction and your pattern pieces, of course, to then do it again. So with fabric that you've got at home. Great value. You also have, of course, your lovely soft wadding. This one, again, isn't a plain. It's actually got a real small, if I lift it this way, you might be able to see towards me. It's got a really lovely small sort of circular dot. Can you see? Attention to detail. Attention to detail. Maybe I was just waiting for Joe to tell me if that's better or this is better. I was just wafting, wasn't I? I was wondering whether Joe was going to tell me.
Hang on.
He doesn't know. I don't want to shout at him because it's his birthday, but Joe, do you want it? He's getting old now, isn't he? He's 28. He's getting old. Do you want...
I've got it. I've got it.
He's got it. He's got it. I don't want to rush him round on his birthday, but it's nearly 9:15, Joe. There you go. Absolutely beautiful. So that's the fabric I just wanted to show you close up. And then you also get two of your Riley Blake prints, which make that beautiful, really beautiful Riley Blake fabrics. I love them, love them, love them. And your magnetic snap and your instructions. Right, Joe, I'm going to speedily go on to option number 3. Are you okay with that, Joe? He's ready for option 3. I think he's just had a bit too much Bucks Fizz this morning, or... I bought him in some lovely juice this morning and straight away. I don't know why he said this to me, but he was like, it's not alcoholic, is it? I'm like, no, who do you think I am? I'm not just handing you an alcoholic drink this morning. I left it on his table and was like, right, I've left you a juice and a cup of tea this morning. Right. Your magnetic snap, your messenger bag, instructions, all of your paper pieces, your pattern pieces, plus your wool option. I adore this wool. It's like what you would get on Savile Row. It's such stunning quality. It really, really is. Your wool, and I love it with the lovely floral. It's like a cotton canvas. If you manage to get the one that we did a couple of weeks ago with the zips, the little clutch bag, this will go perfectly with that. And I really love the choice of lining. Never seen that fabric before, and that is absolutely gorgeous. You get loads of it as well, by the way. So all of this gorgeous fabric, plus then, do you know what I would be tempted to do? I know I shouldn't really say this, Kerrie. I'd keep that, and I would use something from my stash for the lining, and I would make a second bag with that as the outer, because that is absolutely gorgeous. That's too good to put in your lining, isn't it? This is what I love about Kerrie, is that she's really, really gone above and beyond. I'd be happy with, just a plain lining, whereas actually that would be so indulgent to have your fancy lining, but keep that and use it as you can make another bag, because you got the pattern. You can then make another bag using the pattern again and using your templates with your fabrics. That is beautiful. I love that. And you've also got your wadding plus your magnetic snap, all £49.99. It's absolutely gorgeous. We love this kit. Now, we are going to go to the demonstration. Remember, jot down today's date, Joe's birthday, the Queen's birthday, so you can sew along at home when you get the kit home. But have a watch of it, check out your baskets, have a look. I wonder what machine Kerrie's got. Have a look at our machine bundles whilst you're on the website as well, and be back with us. Stay where you are. We will see you right after Kerrie's demo.
Hello, I'm Kerrie from Living in Loveliness, and today I'm going to show you one of my new projects, the Alexie messenger bag. It's got 4 lovely pockets in there, which means there's plenty of space, perfect for if you're out walking the dog. You've got lots of lovely little pockets in there to keep your phone and your keys tucked away nicely. So as you can see, one of the samples here have got lots of quilting on there. That's optional. I'm going to show you how to do that on the flap today, but not on all of the projects. The pattern will show you how to do the quilting on there if you want it to feature on the front of your flap, on the main body of the bag, and also on your gusset as well. But just for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do it just on the flap. So using a ruler and your heat erasable pen, we're simply going to draw those lines. So you've got a nice guideline on there, lining your ruler up, starting on the raw edge of your flap here. So we're just sitting that 1/2 inch line on the raw edge, and we're simply going to draw on some nice guidelines on there. You could jump straight in and do some lovely quilting on here if you wanted to. So we're just simply popping that 1/2 inch line on the last pen mark and sliding the ruler across that front flap just there. And this is going to give us that lovely guideline for that nice straight line quilting. I love adding some straight line quilting to a bag. I think it just makes the fabric, especially when you're working with batting in your project, which this bag has in there, it gives it a lovely plush feeling. So just sliding that ruler across, and each time just drawing that little heat erasable line on there. Just until we get to the other side of the flap there, and then we've got some lovely guidelines there to work with. And of course we don't need to pop one too close to the edge because we'll lose that in our seam allowance in a little while. So whenever we're doing any quilting, we're always going to start just on the middle there. I haven't drawn those lines too bold, just to make it a little easier for me to see when they're on the machine. And I'm going to work from that center line there, just dropping the presser foot. I am going to increase the stitch length. So I'm going to increase it as wide as it will go, which is 5 on my machine. I'm sitting the center of the needle there on that pen line, and I'm simply going to sew across each of those lines. So right down to the edge there, just stop and take a moment if you've got any cotton coming into contact. When we get to the bottom, to stop any waste of thread, we're going to raise the presser foot, tease a little bit of thread out there, and drop the presser foot, so we're lining that center of the foot back with the next line. And we're going to do that for each line there, raising the presser foot, teasing a little bit of thread, dropping the presser foot, and sewing along that next line. And it's just a nice speedy way to give your project that lovely straight line quilt in there. And it's quite fast as well. So just tease a little bit of thread because we don't want any puckers or it too close together. We don't want to put any pressure on the project. And we're just working to one side of the flap to start with. And then when we've done this side, what we'll do in a moment is just work onto the opposite side as well. So we've got that quilting all the way across that flap. Each time, just tease a little bit of thread out. You can trim all the thread away if you want to, but it will sew into your seam as well. So we're not going to worry about trimming all those excess threads away. And you can see just how fast this goes. In a little while, what we'll do is we'll trim away any of that excess batting. So we've just worked across one side, so we're just going to sit it back onto the machine on the opposite side now. Again, just working through each of those stitches. Each time just bringing it towards you. If you notice, like I've got here, a little bit of thread catching in with your foot, just stop, take a moment and trim that thread away. It saves problems at a later stage. You'll find that if you don't, your fabric will start to pucker at that stage and your cotton will start to get knotted. We've just got just a few more lines. You can really see the difference it makes on your panel when you add just a little straight line quilting. You can, of course, if you want to, work with a contrasting thread so you can really see those stitches. I've decided to work with the same colour thread so it's there and looks beautiful, but it's a nice faint colour that fades in with the fabric there. We've just got 2 more lines. You can see by just stopping and pivoting your fabric each time you get to a bottom of line how fast it is to sew across your project. And there we go. So we've got that lovely straight line quilting on there. We've done that all across the front of the flap. As I said, you can do that on the main body of your bag and also your gusset. Just going to run the iron across there just to remove those pen marks on there. And just, I'm going to trim away any excess batting that we've got. We've collected a little magnetic clasp just there. So just trim away any excess batting that you've got at this stage. And as I said, you haven't got to worry about cutting away these joining threads because they will go into your seam when we sew the other side of the flap on in just a moment. So we're going to use the second side of the flap. Now in all of my patterns I do make reference to each piece with a letter. So before you start, I haven't done that today, but before you start just make sure you write those letters on to each of your panels. So what we're going to do now is to insert our little magnetic clasp here. And to do that, what we want to do, first of all, we're going to start with the panel. No, we're not. We're going to start with a lining of the flap. And we're simply going to make a little mark down the bottom. So we're using 1.5 inches. So sitting your ruler on top, we want to work at 1.5 inches from the bottom. So this is where we've got the pointy bit on your flap, if you like. So we're sitting the ruler there, we're sitting it on 1.5 inches from the bottom, and we also want to be 1.5 inches from the raw edge here. We're simply going to draw that little black dot just there. And we'll need our little stitch unpicker and the second part of our magnetic clasp as well. So sitting this part of your magnetic clasp on top, what we want to do is just draw through those lines just to give us a little guideline. And we're just going to pop a little bit of batting onto the back to give that a little bit of stability when we're popping this onto the flap. So I'm just trimming a little bit of batting there. You can attach this with glue onto the back if you want to, but I'm just going to hold that in place. So I'm sitting the batting just on the back. Using a pin, I'm going to slide it through the fabric and the batting, and I'm lining the pin with the top of the 2 lines just there. Using a stitch unpicker, I'm going to push through both pieces of the fabric just at the bottom of the little magnetic clasp, and I'm sliding that along the fabric and the batting until I come into contact with that pin. Having that pin there just means that you're not going to slip and spoil your fabric, so it's just there as a little bit of a safety net, if you like. And we're just making that little incision there in the second part. We can remove the pin at this stage, and we're going to pop on the male part of the magnetic clasp. So just pushing that through those 2 little incisions that we've got here, making sure that pokes through onto the back. Let's just try that again. Let's get it through one, and then through the other. So we've got your 2 prongs just sitting nice and snug there, and we're going to pop this on top and push those prongs out nice and tight. So really apply quite a lot of pressure, and then we've got 1 part of your magnetic clasp on. We are going to do the second part in a little while at a later stage. So what we're going to do now, with this pattern facing up towards you, we're going to pop the flap on top, pattern facing down, so you can see your batting this time. And we're going to line those up, making sure all the sides marry up, and we're simply sewing around those 3 edges, leaving the top open. So just pin and clip those into place. And it's really important at this stage that all these raw edges, especially down here on the curve, that these marry up, so you'll get a nice finish on there as well. If you've got any fabric that's overhanging like I've got here, just take a moment to check the back and trim any excess you might have. And just using a straight stitch, we're going to sew around those 3 sides now. Start with a reverse stitch, sit that on your machine, line that up with the side of your sewing machine foot, and we're going to start by reverse stitching. And just allowing the foot to follow the contours of the flap this time. Slowly manoeuvring that round. When you get to the corner, drop your needle, release your foot and pivot your flap there, so you get a lovely finish on this flap. You can feel the magnetic clasp. The position that we've popped it in is it's really far back from those raw edges, so you haven't got to worry about coming into contact with those. If you are concerned about that, then what I would recommend you do when you're sewing it, if I just show you, just make sure when you sit it on the machine that you can see that part facing you if you're concerned. But if you've positioned that with a 1/2 inch from the side and up from the bottom, your needle won't come into contact when you're sewing. So we're now simply going to turn this through to the other side. Just here where we've got corners, we are going to cut some little notches in there so we get a nice finish on those corners. And again, just down here in the bottom. Just move those little bits. So we're going to turn this. I was ready to jump back on the machine then. I nearly forgot we needed to turn this around. Getting excited to see these lovely fabrics. So we're turning this back around to the other side now, really popping some pressure onto that corner and pushing all of these out. Making sure all those corners are pushed nicely down to the bottom. And what we're going to do now is to just give that a little press. Take away any of your excess thread. And just give that a nice press, particularly down here in the bottom where we've got that nice little finish there on that flap. If you're finding that you can see your fabrics puckering, just pop your fingers inside and push those out to get a nice little finish on there. And turning this way, what we're going to do now is just pop the clips, because this time I really want to see where that magnetic clasp is. So I want to be working on the lining side of the fabric, making sure I can see where that clasp is when we do a little top stitching in just a moment. And again, we're just top stitching to give that a nice finish. Sitting this onto your machine, we're going to start by reverse stitching again. And keeping that top stitch nice and close to the edge. So I'm actually sewing 1/8 of an inch from the edge this time. We want a nice close finish on there. So again, using that nice wide stitch and slowly working around your project, taking your time at the corners. If you're newer to sewing and you're concerned about sewing on a corner, just drop your needle into the fabric, raise your presser foot and keep pivoting until you're comfortable that you can move the fabric. I'm coming nice and close now to this little metal clasp. I can see that my needle's not going to come into contact, but what you need to make sure you do here is make sure that that foot is sitting on top of the clasp and slowly sew around there. And again, up until we get right to the top and finish with a lovely reverse stitch. And there we go. So we've got the main part of your flap here. I do like working with binding. I tend to add a little binding to most of the projects. So we're going to pop a nice little bit of binding just onto that flap, if I can find the piece. It's tucked up with all this lovely fabric here. It's all blending in together. So using your binding, what we're going to do with the wrong side of the fabric facing you, we're folding this in half, aligning those raw edges and just giving that a nice little press. This just makes a nice feature of the flap on the back of your bag. And also for me, it's using those scraps of fabric and incorporating them into your project. So with the right side of the flap, so the piece that you've done the quilting on, or the opposite side to your magnetic clasp if you're unsure, you're sitting the binding along the top, making sure you've got an overhang of your fabric here. We're going to pin or clip these into place, just to secure those, making sure your raw edges there are lining up. And then as we turn the flap over, what we want to do is to just fold these little overhangs of fabric, if you like, and clip those into position. And again, we're going to do the same on the opposite side. Not too close to where we start. So we're simply going to sit this on the machine now, starting with a reverse stitch, sewing along the raw edge and using that 1/4 inch seam allowance. And it's a really nice way incorporating binding into your project to really make your fabrics pop. And again, we're just going to finish there with a reverse stitch at the end. To complete that binding, making up words today, we'll have a little sing-song. What we're going to do is, nobody needs to hear me sing, it's not very good. I'm better at sewing. So we're going to push the binding up, making sure here that we get a nice finish onto the edge here. So we've got no raw edges showing. And we're pressing against the binding to give that a nice finish here at this stage. To give that a real good press just there. And as we turn this over, what we're going to do now is to make sure this is all lined up nicely with bringing the binding back towards us. If you're finding that your binding's at an angle, you can trim this little bit if you want to. We're going to bring this back, fold it down, making sure the folded edge of the binding is sitting just below that stitch line there. That's really important for the flap, so it looks as nice on the inside when you open the flap of your bag as it does on the outside. And we're just giving that a nice little press. And folding those in half. We're turning this back onto the other side. You can see there that we've got that lovely feature of binding there, which will look beautiful on the back of your bag. We're going to pop some clips onto there and sit this to one side for now. We will be back for it in a while. So we'll leave that to one side now while we look at the pockets. So as I said, there are 4 pockets in your bag. You've got 2 internal pockets and you've got 2 on the front as well for easy access. I particularly like having a pocket on the back of my handbag so I can keep my phone close to me or your valuables quite close to your body as well. So you'll tend to find in any of my bag patterns I pop a pocket on the back that's easily accessible. So with your pocket pieces now, you've got 4 pieces in your contrasting fabric. This is to really make those pockets stand out against your main body of your bag. We've also got the lining fabric. Now, I'm not sure whether you can see that there, but there is a beautiful print. So this is the right side of the fabric that we're working with. We're turning this over so the right side of the fabric is touching the right side of the fabric for the other side of the pocket. Okay, so just to cover that again, you've got the right side of the fabric facing you and the right side of the fabric facing down. It is a little difficult sometimes when you're looking at colour on colour print. With the next 2, I'll make it a little easier to see there. So we're just lining those up along the raw edge there. We're just going to clip those into place. And we'll sew all of these as a little bit of a production line in a moment. Let's just pop those clips on just there. So this time, with the right side of the fabric, we'll work with the white first. Pattern facing towards you. Had to double check myself then. We're going to pop the right side of the fabric on top of the lining this time. So this is the lining on the inside of your pocket. And I always think it's really nice to expose that lovely print on the inside. So the insides of your pocket look just as pretty as the outsides as well. So we're just going to clip those together as we did with the 2 previous pockets. And we'll pop these on the machine in a moment, and we're simply sewing across that top straight raw edge. Pop the iron to one side for now. And we're just going to sew across those raw edges. Just doing a little chain stitching as well to speed up the process. we bring the next pocket in and slide that underneath. And the third pocket. I thought we'd lost some thread there. Not today, we're not having that today. Okay, so we'll just bring those back to the ironing board now and trim all those joining threads. And what we're going to do now is to just open those pockets, just fold them back, just to expose those two beautiful fabrics there. And as you press against those pockets, you'll get a nice finish there on your pocket. Bring that to you and just sit those on top and give it another little press there as well. We don't want any creases in these pockets. That's it. So just sit those flat on the ironing board, open these up and press against the seam there. You'll get a nice finish on your fabric there. Fold these back on themselves and just give them a little press. You don't want any of your lining fabric showing just at the top there, so take your time with this stage. And again for the third pocket. You'll notice in my patterns I like to repeat the steps, so it keeps it nice and easy. And I do like a lot of pockets in my projects. In my head, it makes me super organised. The reality is I bury things in pockets and I forget where I've put them. But they're all in a safe place. It's always a surprise when I find something I've been looking for a while. And again, we're just going to do that fourth pocket there. Now, as you know, I like to encourage you to use those beautiful decorative stitches on your machine. I'm sure in one of the demonstrations I will show you some of the stitches that this machine can do, but we're going to stick with a zigzag stitch today, just for decorative purposes. And also, there is no pressure to get a perfect straight line at this stage. So set your machine up onto a zigzag stitch, nice and wide. And again, we're going to sew across the top, just a nice top stitch now on all four of those pockets. Just feeding each pocket through. You could, at this stage, if you wanted to, change your thread and use a lovely contrasting thread to really make those gorgeous stitches stand proud. I'll have to spend a little bit more time with this gorgeous machine and find out what stitches it does. So we're just sewing that fourth pocket now, keeping it nice and easy. So we're just going to cut those joining threads and any excess threads that we've got here as well. So you've got two pockets for your inside and you've also got two pockets for your outside as well. So we're going to start with the interior of the bag, making sure the right side of the fabric is facing towards you. And we'll sit one of those pockets on top. Just pop a couple of clips or pins in place. There we go. Just make sure all those raw edges are marrying up. If you need to, at this stage, take your time and trim away any excess fabric. What you'll find is it will cause a little gap if you don't at this stage. So just take your time. Trim away any overhanging fabrics that you've got. It saves a lot of unstitching at a later stage. Now this is one of the exterior panels. Now this time in your kit, when you're cutting your pattern, you will cut your batting slightly bigger than your project. That's if you want to do any quilting. If you're doing it like I am today and you're not adding quilting, you're simply cutting that batting to the same size as the exterior part of your bags. We're then going to sit that next pocket on top. And you can see here how those fabrics complement each other beautifully. Particularly love this print. I do love this print. I've got a little build up of clips over here. So moving on to that third pocket. Again, we'll work with a lining. You can do both your lining and both your outer panels if you want to, but as long as each of those panels has a pocket attached, you'll have 2 for your interior and 2 for your exterior part of your bag as well. So again, we've got a little bit of an overhang here, so I am just going to trim this. I don't want to sew the gusset into place and then realise I've got a little gap. There we go, that one didn't want to come away. So we're just popping a few more clips on there. And finally, we've got that second part of the exterior panel. Again, you've got your batting there. So with your batting flat on the table, you pop in your front panel or back panel. They're both the same, on top with the pattern facing up towards you. We're popping that 4th and final pocket on top. And again, we're simply just going to pin these into place. Now, to make it a little easier to pop that gusset on, we are going to just sew around each of the pockets to secure those into place. You can reverse stitch, but you don't need to. And we're simply just sewing around just the pocket area on here. So sitting this onto the machine, and we're going to repeat this for all 4 panels. Return your machine back to a straight stitch. Mine was just still on a little zigzag there. The machine's getting used to me, it knows I like a zigzag. I am only using an 1/8 of an inch when I'm sewing here, so it's nice and close to the edge. This really is a stage to make sure those fabrics, the pocket is secured into place. You could, if you wanted to, skip this stage, but I definitely recommend taking those few moments to do it. It makes inserting your gusset a little easier. And we've got that first one into place, and let's just repeat that now for the other 3 panels there. Again, as we did with the flap, if you're new to sewing, take your time with these curves. And the more you sew, the more your confidence will grow, and you'll be able to manoeuvre that machine or the fabric on the machine in the direction you want it to travel. So we've done that there for the lining piece, and we've got our second. We're going to have this as the back. I'm not really sure, but we'll say it's the back for now. And again, just using that 1/8 of an inch seam allowance there. Just going to increase that stitch, actually, it's quite a short stitch. We'll increase that. It's like a tack stitch if you like, so my machine's set at number 5 there. Just so it travels around those 3 times a little faster and doesn't waste too much thread either. And finally, we're going to repeat the same on one of your interior pockets. I've gone for a nice white for the interior. I thought it would be lovely to have this lovely starburst pattern there, so the interior of your bag looks as pretty as it does on the outside as well. I find by having a light fabric on the interior of the pocket as well, I tend to be able to find things that have dropped to the bottom of the bag. It tends to be a little easier to find those. So just take a moment to trim away all those excess threads. And admire your lovely fabrics. Do love these. Very summery. I think coral's my colour for summer 2020. Are we in the summer? Feels like we're in the summer. Okay, so you've got those 4 panels complete now. You've got those pockets. They'll be nice and close. So we're not putting any buttons or anything on there. We're keeping it nice and simple. And what we're going to do now is to attach the gusset. So we're going to work with the interior first. We've got that one here. So you've got your 2 interior panels. And to make it nice and easy to insert your gusset, to make sure you're spreading that out, your fabric out, just so it's enough if you want a nice easy way to do this, just fold your fabric in half, open up your fabric, and just make yourself a little mark there, just so you know where the centre of your fabric is. And again, we're going to do the same with your gusset. We've got it scored already with the fabric, but just in case you haven't, just to make life easy, I'm just going to pop another little black mark on there as well. And we're going to sit this on top. So we're simply, if I just turn this a little easier to see, we're going to sit the 2 black lines on top of each other in the centre of the bottom pocket there. And just using pins, we're going to pin through all of those layers, paying particular attention. So this is pattern facing. Okay, so your gusset fabric is pattern facing towards your pocket. And then we're going to slide your pins through all of those layers. When you get to the corner, slowly work around that corner here, bringing this fabric in and aligning all those raw edges on your curve here. Keep this up. We don't want any puckers in our curve. Keep those nice and flat. And again, we're going to bring that around here to the edge there. And if we turn it around, we're going to do the same on the other side as well. So just bring those in, pinch onto the raw edge, really make sure they're lining up at this point, and just tease this in if you need to. We don't want any puckers on that fabric. Of course, we're working on the lining, and we wouldn't really see it, but we certainly don't want it on the outer part. So take your time, keep lining those up, keep teasing your fabric back out of the way. I'm working around the contours of that curve there. Okay, so we've got that through all layers there. And what we're going to do now, I can see I've got a tiny little overhang of the fabric. Make sure your gusset is flat with the top raw edge. And it is just a slither there. I'm just going to take that off at this stage. What we're going to do now is reverse stitch at the top part of the bag, sew around our curve, all the way back and finish with a nice reverse stitch there. I'm just going to repin that section. I can see it's just not quite lined up. Okay, so let's sit that onto our machine. We're going to start with that reverse stitch. And this time we're going back to using our 1/4 inch seam allowance. So my fabric's just sitting on the side of the foot. Once we get to the curve, just take a moment to make sure there's no puckers in the fabric. If there is, I am going to remove the pin because I can see I've got a slight one here. Keep your finger on top of that fabric and drop your needle. To stop any puckers of the fabric now, I'm going to remove this next pin. In fact, I'll remove that one as well and just tuck this fabric out of the way there, making sure it's nice and flat here. Let's take those pins out. They're quite close to the edge, so we don't want to sew over those pins. Just going to keep that nice and flat, make sure there's no puckers in that fabric. And bring this towards me and just tuck those fabrics out of the way there. Okay, so just take a moment and remove any of those pins that are still left in the project. And what we're going to do while we're here, just cut some little notches into those corners there. So when we turn this the right way out in a little while, we get a nice finish on our curve. You've got quite a few layers of fabric here because of your pocket, so just take a moment to do that section, and again here as well. In a moment we're going to do that with a batting, so we will find that there is a little more bulk there, so we do need to take it a little slower on those corners. So we've got that first side popped on. You can see here is the interior of your bag, and you've got that first little pocket on the inside with that lovely fabric on the inside of your pocket, as well as the gusset of your bag as well. So what we're going to do now is to pop the next panel on top. So with the pattern with the fabric facing up towards you, we just took this out of the way. We're going to sit the second panel on top. This time we're popping the panel facing down, so the nice sides, if you like, are touching or facing. And we're going to do exactly the same as what we did. So we have got that score mark that we already created there. I'm just folding this back and making that little mark. Folding the second panel in half to find the centre of your bag. By doing this step here, it just means if your fabric is slightly too big or slightly too small, you'll be able to see it from pinning at the bottom, and it'll stop any twists and turns in your fabric. So we're lining up those two little marks there, sitting those on top of each other. And again, we're going to pin through all of those layers. Let's just get a few of those pins. I find that popping the second part of the bag on is a little easier when we get to those corners. So again, we're just sitting, making sure those raw edges marry up. With the pins on top so you can see them. So when these sit on the machine in a little while, you can see the pins and remove them as you're sewing, because we do want these quite close to that raw edge for this particular project. And again, just making sure all of those raw edges marry up. And we've got quite a few pins in the corner. That just makes sewing around that curve a lot easier. And again, we're going to repeat the same on the second corner. Just making sure we've got no puckers in our fabric just under there as well. It's very easy to do that when you're attaching the second part of your bag, so just take your time at this stage. And again, just making sure all your raw edges, and especially that top raw edge there, we don't want any gaps in the top of our bag. And we'll just do one more pin, and we're ready to sew on that curve now. So as I said, making sure you can see those pins facing towards you when you take it to the sewing machine. We're lining up that raw edge. We're going to start with a reverse stitch. And we're sewing along that raw edge again. Just take away that extra thread there. It's really important, I can feel under the machine here, making sure that those fabrics underneath are out the way. Just double check, because we don't want to sew any of the fabrics together other than the gusset and your back or front of the bag, whichever part it is. So slowly working around that corner. And I am going to remove these pins as I sew around here because they're quite close to that raw edge. I'll just take a few of those out. And again, we're on that second corner. Just take those pins out ready, and I'm going to feel through the fabric. Just make sure that there are no puckers under there and we're not sewing through the wrong piece of fabric there. Just take a moment to stop and check, because it's very easy for that to gather underneath the sewing machine, and we don't want to do any unpicking today. Let's just take those last few pins out. And again, when you get to that second side, we're just going to reverse stitch. Then we'll take this back over and give this a little press in a moment. Just remove all those excess pins. And let's just turn this around and have a little look at the inside. So the interior of your bag, you've got both lovely pockets on both the front and the back of your bag as well there. So you've got two pockets already inside, perfect for your keys, your phone, and whatever else we tend to chuck in our bags while we're out and about. So we'll do the gusset for the front and the back of your bag in a little while, but we are going to do the strap now. Now the strap in your kit, the pattern comes and it is 44 inches. At this point, I would recommend perhaps measuring and seeing how long you want that strap. I particularly like wearing my bag across my body, so I tend to keep it at the 44 inches. But you can just rest this over your shoulder and measure it on yourself where you want the bag to sit. As I said, I'm going to leave mine the full length because I do like to wear mine across the front of my body. So to make your strap nice and easy, you could use interfacing here in your handle if you wanted to, but because we're going to fold this into 4, we're not going to add any interfacing. So first of all, on the shortest raw edge with the wrong side of the fabric facing you, we're folding that in. You can measure this if you want to, but about 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to press that. I'll repeat this as well on the second side. So again, we're just going to fold that in and give that a little press there. We're folding this in half lengthways, so along the full length, making sure those raw edges marry up. And we're just going to run a centre crease line along the full length of your strap here. We're keeping this bag nice and simple, nice and soft, so there isn't much hardware in this bag. It's just a nice soft bag strap. So we're just creating that centre line there. And back to the start of your handle, what we're going to do next is bring the raw edge into that centre fold there and press. Again, along the full length. Take your time with this stage so you get a nice finish on your handle there. So by creating the handle in this way, we've already got 4 layers of fabric, so it gives it that nice stability. But of course, as I said, you could pop some interfacing on the inside if you wanted to. And again, we're going to do the same just here. So folding that raw edge into that centre fold so it meets and marries up with the second one just there. I love this fabric, how it just sits and the pattern meets on the other side. Okay, so we're just doing that along the full length of your bag handle there. And to complete that, we're going to fold it in half one last time, making sure those 2 folded edges marry up just here so we get a nice finish. You can pin this if you want to, but because we've done all that extra pressing there, the fabric tends to stay quite close together at this stage. So if you want to pin along those folded edges, you can do, but I tend to skip this little part out here. If you find at the end of your handle here, you've got a little bit of fabric overhanging, you can just trim that corner away if you want to, on both sides. And that'll just give you a nice little finish when you fold those together. The same on the second side as well. So just trimming at a little angle. So we've almost got a little V shape here. As I fold this in, it just means I haven't got any overhangs of the fabric. As I said, you could, if you wanted to, add some interfacing to this, but we're not going to do that today. And you can just simply sit that onto your machine now. You can, of course, use a decorative stitch if you want to, but nice and easy, I'm just going to sew along that folded edge using a straight stitch. Sometimes I sew on both sides, but today I'm just going to sew along the one folded edge. And I'm sewing about 1/8 of an inch from that raw edge there. Lining that up on the inside of the foot, and you can see how nicely that filters through the sewing machine. I think I've changed my mind. I am going to sew the other side. I was going to skip that part, but it just doesn't quite look right without it on the second side. So I've just turned it around and I'm now sewing along the opposite side of the handle, and it is filtering through the sewing machine quite quickly as well. Just double checking that bobbin there. We don't want to lose that bobbin today. All these extra decorative stitches use up those threads very quickly. So there you go, we've got your lovely strap there. It is 44 inches. Remember to check yours first to get the right length. And let's have a little look at what we've got going on here. So we are going to pop on your flap to the back panel of your project. To do that, nice and easy, what we're going to do using your ruler, we're going to sit that along the top raw edge, and I'm going to measure and draw a line 1.5 inches from that top raw edge just there. And this is just as a guideline to make it easy for me to pop this panel together. So you can see that little line there. Secondly, what I'm going to do is to just sit that flap just on top so it's overhanging. And I'm lining up the folded edge of the binding with the pen mark. I'm making sure, and you can measure this. Let's just have a little look. Let me tell you what that is. It's 3/4 of an inch from each of the sides there if you want to centre that fabric just there. Now to pin this into position, I'm going to pop my hand just underneath all of those layers because I'm sewing through binding and fabric, and I'm just pushing a pin through, and I'm making sure that it goes through both the flap and the fabric. So I push it through in the flap, it pops out of the binding there, and then back into the fabric to really hold that in place. I'm just removing those clips that we popped on there a little earlier, making sure we're sitting on that little black mark there that we've already popped on. It's a little more tricky to do it in the centre, so I'm going to pivot this around. I don't want to poke myself at this stage. Okay, so we're doing the same here. And again, just reaching into the centre of that panel, I'm popping that pin through and going through at an angle just to make it easier to remove. And you can see by adding that binding there, it makes a nice feature of your flap on the back of your bag. What we're going to do now is sit this onto the sewing machine, because I love a zigzag stitch and it gives it a nice finish as well. Really make sure that that flap is secure. We're going to sit the zigzag stitch just here on the binding so the zigzag is spread equally across the binding and onto your bag. And then to complete the flap, we're going to do a stitch in the ditch here as well. So when you look on the inside of your bag, you can't see that batting, you can't see that binding exposed. So we're just sitting this onto the machine. We are going to use a zigzag stitch here. You could use a straight stitch if you want to, but I find that using a zigzag stitch for this particular part secures that flap into place and gives it that extra stability when you're opening and closing your bag. So just sitting that onto the machine, making sure that the centre of the foot is on the binding. We're just sewing along. Because I'm not going to do a back stitch with a zigzag, what I tend to do is to just hold, I'll show you when I get to the other side, hold the fabric in place so the zigzag goes across itself a few times and acts as a zigzag stitch if you like. Okay, so really make sure you stop and remove these pins. Your pins won't move with the batting and we don't want to sew over those pins. And of course, you've pretty much covered that black line. So when I get to the end of the binding, all I do is to just hold the fabric in place and just go over it a few times with that zigzag stitch so it finishes that off without you having to reverse stitch. So take this off the machine now. If I just show you that there, you can see that beautiful zigzag stitch that just holds that binding into place. It looks decorative, but it also serves a fabulous purpose and secures that flap in place as well. So just take a moment to trim away those extra threads. And what we're going to do now is to just sit this back onto the machine, starting, and we're going to stitch in the ditch where the joining of the binding meets the flap. We will reverse stitch, so drop your machine back to a straight stitch, and we are going to reverse stitch to start with. Okay. So take your time, you'll have a little more time perhaps than I've got. And we're just sewing in between that flap and that binding there. That gives that flap a lovely finish and finishes that flap off beautifully. And it's just a nice way to add a flap to the back of your bag and make it look as nice on the back as it does the front. So you can see that there, just take a moment to trim away all those excess threads. So what I particularly love about adding binding to a project is that you've got the fabric featured on the back, and it's just a nice way to add your flap to the back of your bag as well. Just a slightly different way from inserting your flap into the lining. So we'll pop this to one side for now, and we're going to pop the binding, the gusset, we're going to pop the gusset onto the bag. So using the panel now that doesn't have the flap, let's keep it nice and easy. What we're going to do is to repeat the same way that we put the gusset into the lining a little earlier. So just folding this in half, we're going to press and find your centre line. Make sure all your raw edges at this stage match up, and just make our little mark there at the bottom. And again, we're going to do the same with the gusset. So just fold that fabric in half, run your fingers along there, and just for easiness, we'll pop the 2 marks on ready for when we do the next step. So again, with the fabric still pattern facing you, we're sitting the gusset on top, making sure those 2 pen marks marry up, and we're going to start pinning as we did with the lining from that centre there. Remember, you've got a lot more layers in here, so really take your time, especially on those corners. So you can't, at this stage, have enough pins. So slowly bring your fabric and make sure it's lining up there with that raw edge on your curve. And push your pins through, and each time just bringing that around. Popped a pin in my hand there, that was a good little magic trick. Okay, so we're sliding the pins out, making sure all those layers are matching up. And we're going to do the same on the other side as well. So just bringing that around, lining up all those raw edges, especially there on that curve. You'll find actually, because you've got that thickness of the batting there, it's a little easier to bring the fabrics around. It will naturally stand in place. So just continuing to pin along. I can see I've got a little bit of an overhang there, so I'm just going to trim away that extra fabric just on the end. And we're simply going to sew around those 3 sides again, taking your time at that corner as we did with your lining. So sitting that on your machine, make sure you can see your pins, and we are going to stop this time and remove those pins as we're sewing. So take it nice and easy, using that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Right down now until we get to that corner. Because of all the layers, I would definitely recommend at this stage just stopping, leaving your needle inserted, and bringing that fabric, tucking that to the side here. And as I said, because you've got your batting in there, it's a little easier to work with those corners. You haven't got too much fabric, despite there being a lot of fabric there trying to overlay each other. I'm just coming into that second corner and bringing that around. Left a few pins in as we've gone there. Let's just take those out. And let's just finish that last side. Remembering to reverse stitch. It just stops your fabric from tearing away or coming undone when you're popping your lining in a little while. So again, we can see we've got that lovely pocket on the inside. You've got that nice contrasting fabric there on your gusset. And we're going to pop that last panel in. So this time, remember, you've got your flap in there. So we want to make sure that flap is just tucked up out of the way from now. Because you've left that 3/4 inch gap here, we're sewing with a 1/4 inch, so you will have space in there as well. So don't worry about coming into contact with that flap. Let's just have a little look. That's it. So we're going to pop this panel on, and we're going to line these up. In fact, what I've forgotten to do is to just mark just down here. Let's fold this in half. Let's move this out of the way so it's a little easier to see. Fold it in half, create your score line just at the bottom, finger press that together, and just draw that little black mark. And what we're going to do at this stage actually is we'll pop our magnetic clasp in just so you can see it nice and clearly at this stage. So if you're unsure how this is going to go together, let me just bring it so you can double check at home which panel you're popping it on. It is the panel that doesn't have your flap, but just so you can visualise this, we sit this onto the back, which is where it'll be sewn in a little while, and you're just allowing your flap to come across, and we know here this is round about where your magnetic clasp is going to go. So if you're new to inserting a magnetic clasp, just do that little exercise that I've shown you there. Your flap's on the back, bring your flap over the top, and that will just make sure that you know that you've got this in the right place. So let's pop that to one side. And just working now from the pocket, what we're going to do is make a little mark ready to pop our magnetic clasp in. We're going to sit the mark in, so we're going 1.5 inches from the seam edge here, which should be nice and easy to see because you've got your 2 different fabrics. And then what we want to do is measure that 1 inch up from that pocket just here. So let's just sit that in place. So we're measuring 1 inch up and we're just popping a little black dot just there to make it easy for your magnetic clasp. We're going to pop this on top so that's centered in the middle there, and draw your 2 straight lines onto here. Using your pin, slide that above where your magnetic clasp is going, and then using your stitch unpicker, we're pushing through the fabric, through the batting as well, and gliding that through all of those layers to make those 2 little incisions to pop your magnetic clasp in. Remove your pin, and as you push your clasp through those 2 little incisions, you can see the prongs pop out on the back. Sit this on top, and as we push those out, we know that's nice and secure. So really put a little bit of pressure on there and really push those into place. So let's just go back to popping that other panel on. So with this pattern facing up towards you, you've got your gusset at the side. We're going to pop the panel on top. Pick up all these extra threads that we seem to keep collecting. We're tidying up as we go today. So you've got your 2 little black marks that we've already made. We've got the one down here in your gusset, and then we've got the one on the centre. Making sure these are pattern facing. Sit them on top of each other so those 2 lines marry up. Pin together. We'll just turn this so it's a little easier to see. Make sure all those raw edges are lined up and pin through all of those layers now. At this time, I'm just going to keep those pins a little further back so I don't need to worry about removing them all as I'm sewing around. It's much easier to do the curve from this angle. So popping this onto the corner here, pinning through all of your layers, and allowing those raw edges to line up. You can almost push into there and you can see those raw edges lining up just there. And just bringing that around all the time, making sure you're following the contours of your raw edge. And we're almost ready to pop the lining in and take the dog a walk. And fill it with sweets for the kids, no doubt. And hide something in one of those pockets for a rainy day maybe. So just doing the same on the opposite corner. I've got a little overhanging fabric there, so I'm going to trim that. Every time you notice there's a little bit of fabric overhanging, just stop and take a moment and trim it away. That's it. Now what we can do with that flap that's hanging out here, it's entirely up to you. You can leave it hanging out, but I tend to find it's a little easier if we just tuck that out of the way in the bag now. To make sure it's popped out of the way, so I'm going to hold my hand on it here so it's not sewn into the seam. And to sit this on the machine so we can see the pins, I can feel through and make sure that flap's not there again. And just remembering to stop and remove those pins. As with the lining, just make sure all the bulk of the bag is tucked out of the way. We don't want to sew that together. And slowly sew around those corners. I always find this second part a lot easier to work around those corners. I think it's because I can see everything. Just take a moment to remove those pins if you think they're going to come into contact with your needle. Just keep tucking these bottom layers. There's quite a lot of fabric there now, so just take your time. Make sure none of them are getting caught under your machine at this stage. Just take those extra pins. I'm just going to hold onto this corner there, remove those pins so I can continue to sew around. And just raise that presser foot. I'm just moving those extra fabrics out of the way. And again, I'm coming up to the flap now, so I'm just pinching through the fabrics to make sure that's not going to come into contact with my seam there. And we're going to sew to that end and just reverse stitch. So as we turn this out the right way, in fact, let me just put those little notches in there. We've got quite a lot of bulk here. I'm getting excited to see the fabric. I almost forgot an important step. So again, anywhere, especially when you've got a lot of fabrics, just make sure you put those notches in on your corners. Gives it a nice finish there on your bag. There we go, and again on the other side as well. And just collect any of those excess threads that we seem to keep tidying up. And again, we're just going to cut those little notches into these corners. And finally, that little fourth corner there. Don't know why it's little, but we'll call it the little corner. That's where all the lost things are going to hide, in that little corner there. That's where my trolley pound's going, isn't it? And you can never find one when you get to the supermarket. It will be there. Just hope I remember. Okay, so let's bring this out and have a little look at this gorgeous bag coming together. You've got your flap on there. You've got your 2 pockets on both the front and the back of your bag. Let's just have a little check of those corners. Make sure we haven't missed any of those fabrics. If you have, take a moment to go back and sew those together. And you can see now that this bag is almost there. The way when you pop that little magnetic clasp there is it just sits just below onto that little pocket there. So all we've got left to do now is to add our strap and to pop the lining in. So to add your strap, what we're going to do, sit the gusset facing towards you so you can see the gusset. Your strap will finish at 1 inch wide, so we're sitting the ruler on top and we can see there. So let's get this nice and flat so you can see that there. We can see that we've got 3.5 inches and we're just going to mark this up. So I'm marking this in. Let me just bring that in there. And I'm going to mark either side of that 2 inch mark there and draw an inch line. So I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so we are 2 inches down from the top and then we've centered that pen line. As long as you draw it in the middle, that's absolutely fine. Let's turn that over and have a little look on the other side. So I'll go through that again. So let's just sit that flat. Let me bring that so you can see. Sitting your ruler on top with your 2 inch line. So we've got a 1/4 inch on there. So I'm just coming 2 inches down, sitting that in there on the seam, starting at the corner here. And the 2 inch line is centered on that panel. I'm going to pop a mark at the 1.5 inch point and the 2.5 inch point there and draw that line. Okay, then using the strap, we're going to sit this on top of the fabric just here. Let's trim away all these excess threads. Now, when attaching your flap, you could absolutely, if you wanted to, put that cross in the center of your strap, which I know a lot of people like to do. We're going to keep it simple and just do a little square on there. So I'm lining that up so the strap sits there just on that pen mark. And I'm just going to slide a pin through there. Okay, just in case you haven't attached a strap before, I'm just going to pull this out, make sure there's no twists. When I get to this other end, if you want to, you can draw yourself that little square on there. So that's where I'm going to sew around in a little while to secure that strap into place. Again, just double check that that's not twisted and bring that around. Line that up with that black line here. So the black line sits just underneath. And we're going to sit this onto the machine and sew just a square there. You can put the cross in the centre of your square, which I know a lot of people like to do. I'm just taking the bottom of the machine off, sliding this onto the machine just here and sitting the needle on that pen mark. We can remove that pin now because it's trapped nice and securely under there, and we're just simply going to sew around that square. You can, of course, if you want to, hand sew these into position. So just bringing that handle around, making sure it's lined up. Getting to that second mark there and just bringing this around on your machine, making sure nothing is caught under that foot and certainly not that strap. And finally along that last side, and just reverse stitching to finish. Let's have a little look. Okay, so I'm just going to trim all those excess threads away. And I'm going to repeat the same on the second side. Just drop these back. So again, sliding it onto the side of the machine, removing that pin and dropping the foot so it's nice and secure there. We've lost the thread, so let's just rethread the machine. Okay, so we're just going to sew to secure that handle in place. Raising the presser foot, turning the bag back towards us, making sure nothing is caught underneath. Into your second point, bringing the bag so it sits under the machine now. Again, always checking that there is nothing caught under there. It's very easy at this stage because there's a lot of fabric here to get that caught up. And let's just take that off the machine. And now we've got your bag with your strap and your flap, and all that's left to do is to pop your lining in. So I'm just going to take away those excess threads, drop them on the floor. That's what I normally do when I'm at my own sewing table. I was making a nice little bundle here. So we're going to drop the flap out of the way, move the handles out of the way. We can pop the handle for now just in that pocket so it tucks in nicely. Bringing over the lining fabric, we're going to turn the lining fabric so it's the wrong way, if you like, so you can see the wrong side of the fabric just here. And this time we're going to sit that whole bag, pinch that together and pop it inside. And whenever I'm pinning a bag, what I quite like to do first of all is to pin those gussets. So we're going to move that handle, really tuck that back out of the way, and we're lining up those seams just here. I'm going to push one seam to the left, tuck one over to the right, especially because we've got a lot of fabric just here. I'm going to slide a pin to one side of the seam, and so we get a nice finish on there. I'm going to slide a second pin. So you've got 2 pins on either side of your seam there. I'm going to repeat that on all 4 of those seam lines on the gusset. Now the turning point for this bag is along the back where the flap is. So in a moment, we're going to mark up a 5-inch. We're going to go with a 5-inch turning gap for this particular project. We're tucking that handle out of the way. We don't want that to get caught. Lining the fabric up on top. First of all, working with that seam, pushing one seam to the left and the one beneath to the right. So that reduces the amount of bulk that we've got there. And again, pushing a pin through either side of that stitch line. And finally on that 4th side there. So just bringing that in, seam to the left, seam to the right, and pushing through all of those layers. You know then that you've got a nice finish on there. Just push your bag inside now. And as you bring that raw edge together, at this point, we can just pop some clips onto there. To remind ourselves, we're just going to pop that onto the mat, and we're going to mark up a 5-inch turning gap there. So we've got that there. And that's just to remind us to turn that, to stop, sorry, and to reverse stitch. And we're just going to pin along that top raw edge. And we're sliding this onto the machine, starting with the side that's got the flap, and we're starting on that first black pen mark just here. Dropping that onto the machine, starting with a reverse stitch. And then we're slowly allowing that to sew around that top raw edge. When you get to your pins, just remove those pins and slowly tease that bag around, allowing it to follow the contours of your bag. The reason I've left the gap at the back is if you're not particularly the neatest hand sewer, you've got that just there on the back, tucked behind that flap. Or if you don't want to do any hand sewing at all, you can just sew across that using that zigzag stitch. Just bring this around. We're on that last side now. We're working towards that second black mark there. And we're just going to reverse stitch. And let's pull it out and see what the bag looks like inside. So just popping your hand through that little hole that we've got here. We're going to go to the furthest point of the bag and slowly tease that through that little hole there. Take your time. We don't want to put any pressure on that turning gap. I tend to keep rotating my bag so it makes it a little easier. As soon as you've got the main body of the bag, bringing the lining through is the easy part, I always think. So as we tuck this on the inside now, just so you can see how this bag finishes, we're going to tuck this on the inside. Definitely at this stage give it a good press, but let's just drop those inside just there. Okay. So you can see there that we've got your pocket on the front, we've also got your magnetic clasp, we've got your pocket on the back, and we've got your flap there with your lovely binding. And when this sits across there, you have got your little magnetic clasp to close that bag together. The last thing to do here is to do your top stitching. So I'm just going to tuck this, so we're tucking that raw edge inside. You can hand stitch this part. You'll always get a better finish when you do hand stitch this part. But for ease today, we're just going to do a nice little top stitch. Again, you'll get a nice finish on there, giving that a little press. So we've got that tucked into place. And just to give that a really good finish on there, I'm just going to press, sit this on here and just give it a little press to make sure that the lining of your bag is tucked neatly on the inside. Again, on your gusset, just drop that handle back. You can, of course, press that opening. I got ahead of myself and I clipped it first. I get very excited at this point, seeing the project come together. So we've just give that a nice little press. Take a moment there just to either add your pins or your clips to keep all of those layers nicely together. It makes it a little easier when you're sewing on there as well. Stops any movement in that bag. And we're simply going to finish with a top stitch. You can choose one of your lovely stitches at this stage, but to keep it nice and easy, let's go with a straight stitch. So we're sliding this onto your machine. Let's start at the back. Let's start at the back, so your join line will be tucked under that little flap there. We're sitting this just on top. You can see that your flap just sits nicely out of the way there. And we're simply going to do a lovely little straight stitch, about 1/8 of an inch from the top. Slowly bringing this around to finish that lovely stitch. Tuck your handle back just out of the way. You'll notice that there is enough space in there for you to tuck that top stitch. If you really wanted to secure your handle at this stage, you could sew straight across that handle if you wanted to. Keep that handle, that second handle tucked back, and we're just sewing now until we meet where we started. And we can take this off the machine. At this stage, I would definitely recommend giving it one final press to complete that bag. But let's just have a little look and take a moment, of course, to take all your threads off there. But there you have it. We've got the Alexie messenger bag. Thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, lovely Kerrie. We can't wait to have her here in the studio. Another amazing make from her. Lovely, lovely kit. Just going to quickly recap them for anybody who missed the Liberty option. It's beautiful. It comes with, wrapped with gorgeousness, as you saw there. Your beautiful tissue paper that comes all beautifully presented with your instructions, your templates, your patterns. This one is the most popular. Surprise, surprise. I said this at the start. Whenever we get any of the Liberty, how much would you pay for a Liberty bag? I mean, this is so gorgeous and handmade. You're getting your wadding, you're getting your 2 Liberty prints, you're getting your contrasting lining fabric, which has then got that beautiful print, remember, that lovely detail on it. Your magnetic snap, all of your instructions and your patterns for $49.99. That's your Liberty option. We also have 2 other kit options today, which are Riley Blake and a gorgeous wool option also. Now let's have a look at the wool option, because I know we didn't see the finished bag made up, or we didn't demo with it, but it's still very, very popular, which doesn't surprise me. I absolutely adore this colourway. You've got your magnetic slap and of course all of the instructions as before, but this time look at these fabrics you have. Now that one, I absolutely love. It's the first time I've seen this fabric and it's beautiful. You also then get your stunning quality wool and your floral fabric, which is like almost like a bit of a cotton canvas sort of weight to it. It's heavier weight than the quilting cotton, and your wool is just phenomenal quality. What I would do, because this one is supposed to be, well, this one's your lining really. So what I would do is I would keep this and use a fabric from my stash for the lining and make another bag, because you've got the pattern and you've got the templates. You can make as many bags as you want and just use fabrics and bits and bobs from your stash. So I'd use that for my second bag because I love that. I wouldn't put that as a lining. It's too gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. By all means, be indulgent and use it as the lining, or keep it. And the wool is gorgeous as well. £49.99, gorgeous fabrics, your pattern and your magnetic snap all ready to go, plus you get your wadding as well to give you that lovely body. And I mean, I didn't realise that was a very lengthy, in-depth video, wasn't it? So you'll be able to watch that back on YouTube. Jot down today's date, which is of course National Sewing Machine Day. Oh, we're turning into a whole weekend. The 13th of June is Joe's birthday. We'll remember that, won't we? We won't forget that one. So then the last option is with your Riley Blake. If I just put this one, yeah, this one. Riley Blake, with your instructions, with your patterns, with your wadding, you're beautiful. It's not even plain. It's got a really lovely, delicate spot on it, which you'll see when you get it home. Plus, you have your messenger bag, instructions, magnetic snaps, and then your gorgeous Riley Blake designer fabric. Kerrie spends a lot of time thinking about the different fabrics. I know that she spent lots of time sourcing these beautiful, beautiful Riley Blake fabrics. And I don't think she was wearing a Riley Blake dress today, but I know that Kerrie has all of her dresses made, and quite often she has them made out of Riley Blake fabrics. I always spot them in the demos. Okay, Kerrie was watching the demo. Sending you lots of love. We can't wait to meet you here. I know that you've met Joe and Kat, but we can't wait to be able to do a show with you. Joe saying, you're so lovely. Kerrie's so, so lovely. Oh, we can't wait. We can just tell from watching your videos. She's part of the family. Okay, so thank you very, very much, Kerrie, as always, for those beautiful kits. Very, very popular indeed. Liberty in particular, extremely limited now. Do make the most of that. You may have seen Kerrie using friction pens. Now, I know that she's used these in all of her demonstrations, and this is the first time that we've been able to say, we've got them in stock. So we have got them individually on the website, but if you want the whole bundle for less than £15, it's $14.96. I only launched these literally a couple of days ago, and I know that when we're talking about marking tools of choice, we all have certain personal preferences. I'll always say, still, test it out on your fabric and check that you're happy with how it erases. But Kerrie uses these pens. These are the ones that she uses because it's so quick that it erases with just the press of an iron. Now, they work like a ballpoint pen. and you can use them on paper using the eraser on the end. It's what Kerrie used to mark out her quilting lines, but you can use them if you're a bag maker, if you're a quilter, if you're marking your seam allowance for anything, if you want to get that consistent seam allowance for dressmaking or for all sorts. They're really handy pens to have. And I like the fact that we've got all 4 colours. Depending on what fabric you're using, you've got a colour that's going to show up on any fabric. Always give them a test and check that you're happy with how it removes, but I don't know whether you saw a couple of days ago when I launched these, I did a quick demo on how quickly they disappear. And I've used like damp, the ones that water erasable ones. I love those, but you do find that you have to sponge them quite a bit to get the markings out. Be aware though, if you're putting it in extreme cold temperatures, like a freezer or like the hold of a plane, then the markings potentially will come back. So just be aware if you are putting it somewhere incredibly cold. Or don't do your work and laminate it, because the laminator's hot, so the laminator will get rid of all of the work. We heard of somebody who did a big project, school project, laminated it all, and all of the markings disappeared. Oh my word. Hannah finds that story really funny. I find that just, oh my word, just really sad. That is awful, isn't it? Can you imagine that moment, laminating it, seeing it through? It's like the dog ate my homework. Good excuse, isn't it? Actually, a laminator made my work invisible. I think that's a pretty good excuse. £14.96. What you should do is just laminate a plain piece of paper, take it to school and be like, yeah, I did do my work, I promise. And then they're like, you can just get away with it. Just £14.96. You have to take it to the Arctic or put it in the freezer for it to come back. Aren't they gorgeous? They honestly, we all love our friction pens. Give them a test and try that and see that you're happy with how they erase. But I will talk about those more and more along our sewing journey. Now, did you see Kerrie using this machine? Now it is National Sewing Machine Day. It's celebrated all over, celebrating the invention of sewing machines, basically. So this weekend we're making a full event. Today we introduced to you 5 incredible machines. My word, we are celebrating in style. The most affordable machine that we're offering today is this one. It's less than £500 and it comes with a huge array of goodies, including a walking foot. Sorry, I love opening it backwards. Including a walking foot, which for me is the game changer. I'm so excited for anybody who may have found sewing during the lockdown or reignited a passion for sewing during the lockdown. I know so many people who have started sewing. I was actually on my Facebook and a guy I went to school with, his sister was having a baby and he put up a big post yesterday saying how he just thought, right, I'm going to use my time effectively, and he started sewing and he made his sister a quilt. So I messaged him, I said, do you know about Sewing Street? You need to find us. So Chris, if you're watching, I'm pleased you found us. But I love the fact that lots of people are starting a new hobby or unlocking something that maybe they had a sewing machine in the loft and they've dusted it off and started using it. If you're starting out sewing, I wouldn't even call this an entry-level machine because it's still a fantastic machine. You saw Kerrie using it in her demo and she obviously sews professionally. It's not necessarily, I would say, a beginner's machine, but a beginner is going to get great results with this, really great results, and not have to replace it in 6 months, which is brilliant, especially now that we've added in the fact that you're getting a walking foot. They are normally about £50, £50 to £60, and you get an extension table with this. Even without the other goodies that you get with this, because there's more than just this, look for machines elsewhere that have, if you're looking at around this sort of price point, see if they come with a walking foot. See if they have the brand name. So this is Elna, it comes with a 2-year warranty. See if it has a start-stop button, so that means that you can use it with or without a foot pedal. See if it has little things like a needle up-down or a locking stitch feature or a speed control, variable speed control. These are all really, really handy little bits. And it is a fantastic machine that normally at this sort of price range, you wouldn't have those extras. It is for this weekend only, or while stocks last, actually, I should say, because a lot of people have checked out on this. Now, there's loads of machines on the website at the moment with deals on, so have a look on those. Whose message, sorry, on the fan page? Susan. Hello, Susan's message on the Sewing Street page. She said, super excited. Just ordered the 720 Pro. all the goodies. Oh, I mean, that is so exciting, isn't it? Do you know, the reason that I'm really excited about the 720 in particular is because John Cole Morgan, our presenter, he's just bought that machine, and I know how excited he is about it. So, it's just it's just brilliant, isn't it, that we can do this weekend. This is the 550. It is the only one that we have under £500. I'm really excited for anybody who's starting their sewing journey or wants a second machine with all of these goodies. With all of these goodies as well. You're getting your walking foot, you're getting your fabric marker, you're getting your wadding, you're getting 2 different panels, the Colour Me In panel and the fabric stripe panel, and you're also getting fat quarters, all totaling over £90. There is so much that you're getting in that bundle, and it is only while stocks last, or for this weekend. This weekend is the only chance of being able to get it. I'm saying until stocks last because of how quick it's going today. It's so exciting. Honestly, thank you very much for all of your lovely messages, and thank you for celebrating National Sewing Weekend with us. There will be more tomorrow. They've got an overlocker. We've got overlockers tomorrow. There's a really great chance to get those. In fact, keep an eye on the website because those deals are going to be launched later on today on the web, and then we'll go through them on air tomorrow. We've got now, for 20 minutes, we're just going to carry on straight through into some new tools, and some tools that are very, very useful for your workroom. So, can I start with either the hemostats or the 5-in-1 sewing tool? Let's do the multi-tool first, because this is brand new. It's the first time I've ever even seen this. It looks quite a contraption, doesn't it? Right, dressmakers, this is for you. It's a 5-in-1 space-saving sewing tool. Now, what I think this is going to be great for is, you know, when we're able to go to workshops, or if we're able to go to retreats, or you maybe going to a caravan or a holiday home, or you're going, on the move with your sewing bits and bobs. You start taking a lot with you, whether you're lugging your sewing machine and your mats and your ironing boards and your iron and all sorts. What I love about this is it's 5 tools in one. So you've got your quick and pick, that slots back in. These are little snips, little scissors. How cute are they? So your scissors, push that in. You've then also got your tracing wheel, and you've got your magnifying glass, and they all pack, that does pack neatly away, packs really nice and flush into your, I've done that somehow where I can't push it back in, but it does. I don't know what I've done with my scissors. The little scissors, they're so cute, aren't they? Maybe if I fold the little scissors the other way. I don't know how I've done that. Oh, there we go. So they all fold away nicely, and also you've got a retractable tape measure. How useful is that? 5-in-1 to take on the move with you. So handy. It's like those, what are they called, Hannah? Swiss Army knives, aren't they? That they've just got everything there. But I've never seen one for dressmakers. Really handy. It's the first time I've seen anything like this. Workshop, brilliant. It's a really nice size, and it's a lovely colour, I must say. It's not, like an ugly tool. It looks really, really nice. It's so cool. And do you know what? If you're using your seam ripper, if you're doing a bargello belt, for example, if you're doing something, quite often I find quick and picks or seam rippers really small and quite finicky. Whereas if you're doing a bargello, that's just a nice handy tool to be able to do all of your picking. If you're anything like me and you spend a lot of time unpicking, then it's actually really comfortable to hold to get to do all of your unpicking. Plus you've got your little magnifying glass. This would be something I think I'd just have in my handbag. How good's that? And your little tracing wheel. Really handy, brand new today, just £10.99. What a great gift for somebody, dressmakers. Oh, I watched Sewing Be Back last night. I'm so gutted for Mark. Oh, although, spoiler alert. Oh, for anybody who hadn't seen it, oh no, sorry, that's like me going out of a cinema, isn't it, and telling people in the queue, oh, I can't believe that just happened, and they're like, thanks, I'm just about to go and see that film. I tell you what though, well, everybody who gets onto the sewing bee, if you're on it, you're obviously an incredible sewer, and what an achievement. So yeah, it was so good. Moving on swiftly on before everybody starts If you were saving it to watch at the weekend, I'm sorry if I spoiled your evening. I didn't say anything. I've not said anything. £10.99 for your 5-in-1 sewing tool. Okay, let's move swiftly on. We're going to have to show the website because we've got the embroidery machine that's also part of the mega deals today. If you go to www.sewingstreet.com, now, you don't get a bundle with this one. We decided to do it slightly differently because we want you to have a bit of extra choice of what you want to spend your saving on. You're making a saving of £350 this weekend. The reason that we're showing this is it's probably been one of the most popular savings of the day. We're down to 4. We are down to 4. It's a £350 saving, which isn't just a little bit off, is it? I mean, that's whether you're choosing to just save that for extra pennies in your bank, or if you're choosing to use it for stabilisers and fabric and bits and bobs threads for your machine. The other ones we might be able to use, no, go on. The ruler rack, for example, in the other one, the ruler racks bundled in the machines, yeah. If we need to make more bundles, we could probably do that. Whereas with the embroidery machine, that's everything we have at the moment. The last 4. That's everything we have. Where the other ones, maybe we can rebundle different items with it to jig it around a bit. Whereas that's all that we have. And it's got a saving of £350. It is a huge saving on that one. It's a brilliant solely embroidery machine. You don't need to be able to sew to do it. Ignore that one there. I'm just going to put the graphics live for it. If you do go onto the website, you can see the product details on it, or call the customer service team. You can call it. That's the item code number for your 820EX embroidery machine. It is solely embroidery, no sewing, just embroidery machine, which I actually love. As I said, I know a gal who's recently bought that machine, £350 more than this. I think Jane did actually do a demonstration on this machine on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it. So go on to YouTube, Sewing Street, and type in the machine and it will come up if you want to watch it. It was on the 24th of May if you want to watch that back. I think Debbie is using that machine then. It's £550, which I understand is considered purchase, but as I say, I know people who are starting their own businesses, doing personalisation, and maybe you know somebody that's getting married or birthdays. If you like to do lots of personalisation, and if you like to sew as well, maybe you've already got your sewing machine and you don't want to stop to do the embroidery part, it's nice to have both, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, the combo machines are awesome, but you do have to stop sewing to do your embroidery or stop embroidering to do your sewing. Whereas that you could be have a bit of a production line going of everything. Have a serious think about it. It's the only deal that we have like that where you've got actual money off the machine. Everything else is the price of the machine with loads of goodies, whereas that is a £350 off the machine. Brilliant value. Hi, Deborah. Deborah sent an email in. What an excellent demonstrator Kerrie is. Isn't she brilliant? We can't wait to have her here. I've loved seeing her through lockdown. It would be brilliant when we can get her in though, won't it? It would be absolutely amazing to have her. Well, even though she was here, it'd be really nice. Pardon? Oh yeah, if you want to message the studio, please do. It's studio@sewingstreet.com, studio@sewingstreet.com if you want to get in touch with us. Right, so another brand new tool that we're launching today it's called, I'm going to call it the hemostat, which is the sort of medical term for these, because I think they are used in medical terms. I don't want to get into it because it's quite gory, but originally, but great for sewers as well and crafters. They're called on our graphics needle grippers. Needle grippers. They can also be used for hand quilting to pull your needle through both sides basically. So they also are really helpful with your overlocker threading. They're also very helpful if you are a toy maker. I know Louise Kelly, who's a great author and toy maker. She uses these all the time. Cara, who you've met doing, has she done a Sashko show? She did a bag show, didn't she? I don't think she's done Sashko here yet. She did a backpack a couple of days ago on Friday's show. So She uses these when she does her toy making. For stuffing, these are brilliant because they look like scissors. They're not. They're actually, it's not a pointy top. They've got a curved corner. So if you want to point out any of your seams, so if you want to get that really lovely, maybe with bag making or loops, if you do want to make sure you're turning them through, you can use that as a bit of a dobber. But also, it locks in place. It locks in place, so then you can grab your toy stuffing and get a really good grip. There are slight teeth on the side, but they're not going to damage your fabric. But it is brilliant for stuffing your toys with these, or turning through bag handles or small loops. They're really, really useful to have in your craft room. Whenever, of course, before we were Sewing Street, there's quite a few of us who worked in the industry for a few years before, part of a different community. And these, sorry, let me explain that. Those of you that have found us recently, you might have not known this, but we were all part of a show called Sewing Quarter, which came to an end in December, and we're so thrilled that we've started a new show and a new channel for everybody. But when we were there last year, whenever we used to have hemostats, they would sell out straight away because they're so useful for crafters. So this was one of the top on my list when we joined Sewing Street of, right, what products do we need to get in? What does everybody love? These were those that I wanted, the needle grippers, the hemostat needle grippers. I know how popular they are for crafters. I know, it's only taken how many, 3 months or so to get my wants and my needs in. £8.99. Isn't everybody thrilled that we've managed to get those? So do make the most of them whilst you can. The locking handles are really, really useful. There's only 3 embroidery machines left, by the way. Oh, only 3 left. If you are thinking about it, there's only 3. Okay, we're whizzing through these because look at the time. Over the next 2 days, Hannah is said that she's going to be working on your emails. I still don't understand, something with the email machine upstairs, the computer, and time, her time management, just her time management in general. She's going to work on it. To be fair, I didn't realise that it was a very thorough demo from Kerrie, which is fantastic. It is honestly brilliant. It just means that we're going a bit quicker. So, your blade changing tool. Right, for some reason, we haven't got enough of these to go around. They're brand new, and we thought that we had quite a few more than we have in stock. So just so you know, they will sell out today. It's brilliant. You can use these in conjunction with any of your Fiskars rotary cutters, any of your Fiskars products that are 45 millimeters. So if you have a 45 millimeter blade with Fiskars, now whether that be in this tool or whether it be in your rotary cutter, then this is going to be brilliant. It also comes with 5 blades included. The price for those blades, anyway, I mean, that is absolutely incredible. But it means that you've got somewhere that you can store them. You obviously don't want to just be putting them in the bin. So you've got the place that you can store them in there. And also it means that you're not going to be changing blades with your fingers. You've got to be ever so careful because even they're blunt, they're still very, very sharp. Brand new at $29.99. The snips. Oh, we've got a price comparison. There you go. Right, so that's a live web comparison that Joe's just bought up right now. Live right now, £33. £33. It's exactly the same tool. It's exactly the same changing tool. It's from Fiskars. You do get the 5 blades included, and that one is £33. Ours is how much? Ours is? Sorry, Joe's ever so slow today. He's 28, it's his birthday, so we have to let him out. Ours is $29.99. There you go. Brilliant price point. I love this. It's Joe's birthday. We're all picking on him today. Joe's our director. It's his birthday today. We think he's had a bit of Prosecco. We think he's had a Bucks Fizz in the break then in Kerrie's demo. I think he had maybe his morning cocktail. Don't know. Just management who are watching, he hasn't had a drink. But we're trying to excuse the fact that he's been very slow this morning. Right, so oh, he's speeding up now. He's on the next one, the soft grip scissors. We're on there. These scissors we wanted to use the other day, actually. We've got, if you're working with any curves, you may have seen Nicole on, right, hang on. Spoiler alert, I'm about to talk about Sewing Bee. There's nothing too spoilerish on it, but Nicole was making, I did the spoiler earlier, didn't I? Nicole was doing the flamenco skirt, and to do the sort of lovely flounces, she was slipping into the curves right up to the seam line. And this is exactly what you would need to do that. These are perfect. And they are ideal because they've got this lovely soft grip. They are sharp right to the point. They look, I know why you like these, Hannah, because they look like a gardening tool. Don't they? $14.99. Like the little spring. They are your spring action soft grip scissors, $14.99. If you're doing lots of repetitive cutting, it takes some of the hand strain off. They are brilliant. If you are doing anything with your sewing machine, they're just a handy pair of little snips to have by your machine. They are £14.99. Back in stock. They were out of stock when we were doing the pincushion the other day. And these are the ones that Hannah wanted to use, but they were out of stock. Got them in today. Oh, we've got a price comparison with them as well, Joe. Thank you. There it is. £18. A very famous department store. Your micro tip scissors for £18. These are exactly the same. I don't know whether you could probably see a bit clearer, but right on the top, they've got this micro tip, which is almost like a faceted edge. Jewelry word there. Faceted edge on the top, but it means that you are getting that intricate cutting. It says your micro tip blades for intricate cutting. Can you see where it's just that shiny edge? Effortless spring action design, reducing hand strain. Extra sharp stainless steel blades. Let's stick with Fiskars. So these are your universal large Fiskars scissors. They're 24 centimetres. So does that make them as sheer? The price point on these is fantastic if you want a great pair of dressmaking scissors, fabric scissors, or I tell you what, at that sort of price point, you can use these as your everyday scissors for paper. You could use these even just in your craft sort of cupboard. There's loads of people I know that have already made the most of these. When you're looking at Fiskars, you know you've got that very, very reputable brand that have been a household name for centuries. £14.99. It comes with the little guard as well. Does come with this as a guard. Now, left-handers, don't worry. I never, ever will leave left-handers out. We've also got the left-handed version. So these are completely left-handed scissors. No more sort of slashing into your fabric, trying to use right-handed scissors. Fiskars have made an absolute gorgeous general use pair of scissors for £14.99. You'll always recognise the Fiskars red handle is for left-handers. They're brilliant. And they do just cut like a dream. They cut like a dream. They're £14.99. Now I've got some wadding. I've spoken about this a few times, and I will speak to the management about doing a bit of a wadding show. We've got the 80/20 first, which is this one. If you've seen what book was it that we had the other day? We had a quilting book, and it was fantastic because it talks through why would you use combination wadding, why would you use cotton, why you use polyester at different sizes. But it is down to personal preference. How heavy you want it, how warm you want it. This one, because it's an 80/20, this will be lovely and warm. It'll be great. It'll give you a great drape. I wouldn't necessarily use this as a wall hanging. It'd probably be more one that I'd have on the bed or have on the sofa to give you that weight. This one says that you need to stitch 25 centimetres or 10 inches, stitch up to 10 inches apart. There's so many books. If you don't, when I first started in the quilting world, I was literally like, what's the difference? Like, why would I use this? Or what do you mean by stitching 10 inches apart? If you know, you know, and we will do a sort of dedicated talk about it at some point, but we've got 3 minutes today. Have a bit of a look into it, have a read, because I have been told it's complete personal preference. There's no right or wrong. That one's your 80/20 mix. This one is your 100% polyester. So this one is obviously lighter, it is more affordable. If you want to have a bit of it's still going to be great for quilts, it's still going to be brilliant for trapunto. It has a lovely loft to it, but it's very, very soft indeed. If you like that more sort of puffiness, if that's a word, like, do you know what I mean? Buoyance. Buoyancy. £29.99, and this one says that you need, again, stitching up to 10 inches apart. It's needle punched for extra stability and to avoid bearding. So quite often when you're using a polyester batting or wadding, it can sort of loft through your fabric, whereas this has been needle punched so it won't, for just £29.99. We also have the crib size. Do you want to do those? They'll be on the website. They're on the website. We've also got basting. So just this is a real, again, pit stop into quilting. Once you've got your layers together, you'll need to baste your two fabrics, your sandwich, to your wadding. We all have different personal preferences of basting. Some people like hand basting. Maybe you like using the clips or your micro-stitch tool. I know so many people that just spray, 505 spray. John Cole Morgan uses it. I think Debbie uses it. £7.99 for your 505 temporary adhesive spray. Just make sure you're spraying in a well-ventilated area. £7.99. Whew, what a day! It is National Sewing Machine Weekend. It's National Sewing Machine Day, but we're celebrating all weekend into tomorrow. Whatever you do, do not miss tomorrow's show. The overlocking deals are going to be coming up at 10 o'clock. Also, though, set your alarm because it is the Liberty launch. The Flower Show Summer Range from Liberty, launching bright and early tomorrow morning with Debbie at 8 o'clock. She's also going to be here with her machine cover and bobbin panels. It's going to be a busy, busy day tomorrow. Do make sure you have a look on the website of all of the amazing sewing machine deals that are going on over the weekend. It's only while stocks last. Just to remind you, there are only 3 of the embroidery machines left. Limited quantity as well on the 550. If we can rejig some stock together, if anything sells out, we will try to do so. The embroidery machine, though, we won't be able to do it. We won't be able to do it again. There's only 3 left in stock. Okay, there's 3 not checked out and there's 1 more in basket. So actually we could be down to 2 in the next few minutes. Have a serious think about them. Message the Facebook page and have a look around at other machines as well. $5.50. Do you think other machines elsewhere offer value like this? It's amazing value. Thank you for this morning. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m.